Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power Block Pre-Show. I'm your host, Eddie V, and joining me is Corey Deary, bossman himself. Hello, good sir.
Wow, that was kind of a sad intro. Oh, Ed.
No, it's where
I was
it's
expecting the traditional Edward Varnell intro.
no, it's because it's the pre-show and this is our pilot kind of thing. I kind of want to just like ease into it so people could get a feel,
That's
And
that's
plus,
fair.
I gotta save my energy for the show because do we have a show? I mean,
Yeah. Let's talk about everything we've already talked about all week again because it's so much fun.
I mean, it literally is still trending on Twitter. Like
hmm
and it just amazes me. Like people are still talking about some of the games and the trailers and just people's reactions. Um, the fighting community is just like is living out on cloud nine, like the JRPG community. Like there's so much eating going on in this, not even the fall yet.
I know.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot going on. A lot of games. So
yes,
yeah. So
no,
I don't so people might be wondering what we're doing with the pre-show because we really haven't announced anything yet. Power Block is kind of the test bed for this. So basically, yes, you're hearing this on all free podcast feeds, but our idea is that every episode of all of our podcasts are going to have a pre-show and a post-show that will count towards our Patreon kind of exclusive content. And you know, it's an initiative that we kind of talked about at our meeting the other night, and Ed and I have been trying to solve for the expansion pass problem. Not problem, but getting it out. I don't know. I guess it is a problem. Uh, and so this is kind of what we came up with. It kind of does more with less, I guess, is what you say, and it allows us to be a little bit more flexible with other content that we've been wanting to do for some time, like other spoiler casts or do more interviews or stream or do let's play series, that kind of thing. It allows us to be more flexible with not doing so many episodes of podcasts, but still keep that weekly cadence of our three main shows, keep the monthly cadence with book club. We've heard your feedback on spotlights, so we're going to try to figure out where to slot those in during the week. And so the pre-show and post-show segments are kind of just bonus content for people who are Patreon subscribers at any tier. So yeah, that's exciting. I'm kind of excited for this because it allows, especially for this show, because it allows Ed and I to talk about things that we can talk about whatever we want in these pre and post shows. That's kind of the idea.
yes.
It can be Nintendo related, it can be gaming related, it could just be, I don't know, I had pizza tonight, that was delicious. That could be a topic. But we do have a topic to kind of kick things off with, and I think it's the proper topic to kick this off with. So, but yeah, I don't know, Ed, how do you feel about the pre and post shows? Just because I think it's another way like we can get our content in one go instead of trying to record 5 episodes of expansion pass in one night and kind of not really be prepared for any.
I think it kind of harkens back to our old days and our DNA days, I should say.
Yeah.
Where where even before the show would start, we would have these good discussions, and sometimes it those discussions, maybe they would be 10 or 15 minutes, and we literally had to hold part of the discussion, and because like sometimes our discussions became our literal episode for Pablo.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we didn't even have anything, just because our natural discussion of a topic, news story, or whatever, just the way we was feeling, it literally became our show. So
Yeah.
our 15 minutes sometimes used to go, we'll be like, well, we'll go for 45 minutes. No, it's an hour and 45 minutes and be like, I thought we didn't have a show. And because our natural conversation led into our show. So it
Yeah.
kind of gives people how we're feeling and we're thinking about gaming at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And like it it allows us to, in a way, personally for us, it allows to get us going. So when we actually get into the show, we're kind of like warmed up, we're energized, and then we're able to flow into the show. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this is cool. And like it's we normally sometimes before we even started doing this, just have like natural conversations about stuff, and then it'd be like, okay, showtime, let's go.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be good for people, patrons, I should say, to be able to hear our discussions and maybe even some behind the scenes things on certain topics and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it'd be
Yeah.
good for them to get that insight.
Yeah, it'll probably take like a month or so for us to get used to figuring out what the best route to go for, pre-show and post-show segments
Mhm.
are. But I mean, it's just going to be more of this, uh, and us talking back and forth. Uh, but I'm pretty excited for it, and yeah, I mean that the pre-show topic is refocusing on what we do best and offering something different, you know, and that goes for us personally and as a team. You know,
Yeah,
I tried to stream last night, Ed. Uh, it went okay, except my bitrate was way too low and everything looked super pixelated. But that's why I was test stream. The rest of June is going to be test streams, and it was fun getting back into something like that. To be
yeah.
honest, it was a little rattling to try to talk to chat and my friend Mitch at the same time, and trying to pay attention to both, especially when like one monitor is right in front of me and the one I'm playing on is over here, and I have to keep like looking back and forth, and then there's a third one over here keeping OBS up and trying to, and then watching my laptop battery drain that I'm running the streams off of, even though it's plugged in. So I imagine I can get about a 3.5 to 4 hour stream at any time from the laptop. Uh, at least from what I could tell last night, I streamed for about, I don't know,
About 2 hours.
about I would say about 2 hours and 45 minutes, because the first 20 minutes was me trying to I had the stream on trying to set up and trying to figure out what was working and what wasn't and how to,
That was before
you know
you texted me, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So there are like 2 or 3 segments up on Twitch right now, but I also archived the longest one on the YouTube channel, so that
Well,
was
I
fun.
think.
And it got me thinking, like, for episode 400 we should totally stream episode 400 live.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later though.
It. I think that my question was definitely when we was talking. It's just like what is the difference of doing it through OBS and streaming from your console
I mean,
for the Xbox?
so there's a few different things. OBS offers a lot more customization, in terms of the way it looks. You
Mm-hmm.
can run, you can link a Streamlabs kind of thing to your Xbox or PlayStation and kind of stream through there. I know, Xbox can definitely, handle a webcam also, which may be the route to go at some point. I don't know yet. I just don't know. Uh, but OBS allows you to play around with different things. It's
Hmm.
it's more customizable. Here's the thing. I don't know if it depends on what we're doing, I guess, too.
Yeah,
Also, if I want to stream Switch games, which more than likely I will be doing that most of the time, especially once the excitement around Destiny kind of dies down.
you have to do that to OBS, so that I
I
can
will have to
understand.
do that through a capture card. And well, I won't even have to do it through OBS. I can do it through the Elgato recording studio, but it's OBS is way easier to use than that, in my opinion. So
Okay.
that will be a conversation, that I will have to talk to Laurent about some of this stuff too, because he knows all that stuff, and there are other streamers within our communities that can kind of
Help with that.
show me what to do. But yeah, I don't know, it was fun. I just wanted to try it and see, and then I realized about 2 hours in why I hated playing games at my desk is because sitting in these desk chairs suck compared to my lazy boy or my giant couch over there, in
Hmm.
front of a massive TV instead of in front of this 19-inch monitor, 27-inch monitor, and whatever size this is. So
It's so funny when I stream. Mostly do I stream to my Xbox, and even when I was on Mixer streaming, I've I've always did like no camera picture because I'm like I wanted to focus on the game, and if I did get comments, I will try to use my headset and stuff and
mhm.
talk
Well,
with that.
people do that. There are no camera streamers out there. I think the reason why people tend to lean towards cameras on people is because they like to see who they're talking to or interacting with a lot of the
Mhm.
times. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I had fun, but my thing is like I want to be able to do more things, right? And
Yeah.
uh, the things that happened this past week, which we'll talk about a little bit on the main show, kind of reinforced that we're doing too much in one space and not enough in the other spaces. And I would like to try to shift gears a little bit. And this, again, the pre shows and the post shows allow us to kind of do that, uh, and take the other nights and try other things. Or, I want to do a YouTube series on maybe, one of the other games that I want to play, like series that I want to play, or write some more, because
Mhm.
that has worked out for us recently. And doing other things, like, you know what I mean, like I want to
Yeah.
try other things, I want to do other things, I want to be able to point at a video and say, hey, look, we did this and this. And also, like, at work this week, I sat through a monetization kind of tutorial meeting, which was incredibly informative, and like something we've probably should have been doing the last 5 years and just didn't do, which is also annoying because of just how cheap and easy it is. I mean, it costs money, don't get me wrong, it definitely costs money, and the more you spend, the more eyes you're going to get on your stuff, right? But like,
Yes.
it's so stupidly easy, man. Like, I don't know why we haven't been doing this. And so, this week was supposed to be our week off from recording. Um, I think next week is going to be my week off from recording after Monday because, well, by the time you hear this, Stephanie and I are interviewing Aaron Grubb, the musician. Um, so
Yes.
that'll be fun. I
Super
I've
super
I've
amazing.
never met him, but I listen to his music all the time. We've always had friendly interactions on Twitter,
Yes.
and I think Celeste interviewed him a couple years ago at one point,
She did. Yeah, for
and
1v1.
this will be a nice refresher for the audience and a new experience for me because I've always enjoyed his music. So, and me, I'm the music guy here.
Yeah,
I don't,
his
I tend to not listen to a lot of music, but his is just so. you know.
his renditions of Zelda music and arrangements is just it's so good, and it's just so wonderful to hear. Like it's definitely relaxing. Some is kind of joyful to make you feel in feel good, but when you hear his music, you hear his passion, you hear
Uh huh.
his like ideas and just stuff that you you just be like, oh, this is just a cover. No, this is
Yeah.
more than a cover.
You
This has this instrument and this arrangement, and it's just so good when Aaron does it. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
You
I
know what?
like. Go ahead.
You know what it reminds me of, and not in like the way it sounds or the way it feels, but like
Hmm.
his music reminds me of like, I don't know if you know who Lindsey Sterling, the violinist, is.
Yeah,
It reminds me of like her like early to mid career stuff where like she was really experimental and trying covers and trying rearrangements of covers. Like her Zelda video is incredible. Her Assassin's Creed video is really great. Like she has a lot of video game music covers that are really great. And
hmm
I mean, this was probably like 8-ish years ago, 7 or 8 years ago when she was putting these out. But if you haven't listened to the Zelda one specifically, I highly recommend it because she kind of like she has the main theme, but then the main theme seamlessly blends into like, oh well, this is the Gerudo theme, and this is the Castletown theme, and this is Zelda's Lullaby. Like it just seamlessly transitions without you even really noticing. Or like it's so easy to listen to that you kind of get lost while you're listening to it, and then you just notice
yeah,
that you're listening to a different song within the same song, and it's just his music kind of reminds me of that era of her, and it's just really enjoy it.
yeah. I asked Aaron, I was just like, would you ever do like a chill hop like Zelda cover or something like that? Like, would you go out of your known genre of music making and try something different, or add your spin to it? Because I'm just like, I he great pianist, just great overall with production. But I'm like, man, I wonder if you took this song from this game and did like this kind of the style of music, how it would turn out, being very experimental. He's just like, I might think about it, I might try it, because I would love to hear stuff like that, and I think that's why when we like even when we watch trailers of Nintendo games, definitely with the Legend of Zelda, the covers come immediately, and you just be surprised that, man, how did you pick up that arrangement so quick, and why is your interpretation almost as good as Kanji Kondo or whoever, and got a take on it. Like, it really surprises me that, definitely just with Zelda for right now, as a discussion topic, that Zelda's music is just there's something about it that just stands out, that is just beautiful in its execution. Even when it's janky and dark and it's funny and it's silly, it still have a beautiful um uh there's something beautiful about I would say outlook for it, but there's something just beautiful for it. You just be like, oh wow, like it's so catchy to the ear.
Hmm.
Definitely just the intro to Breath of the Wild when the trailer dropped. And after she said Link wake up, and you just hear that piano run, and it's just like, good night. Like, the piano run, if you hear it, you automatically know it's Breath of the Wild. Like, that's how powerful Zelda's music is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the movie is going to turn out, but if the music in that movie is literally like Oscar worthy, Emmy worthy, Grammy worthy, whatever, if it's worth that good, that soundtrack is gonna go platinum. people are going to buy that soundtrack.
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, okay, the soundtrack is good. We need the concert, you know,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. So yeah, back to the original topic.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm just the point is like that's kind of where we're headed as a team. And personally I've been trying to refocus myself too on certain content of just, you know, because I heard something on a podcast, and this person has said this a couple times throughout the years. Um, but they really only play games on one platform unless something is really sticking to them, right? Or like
Mm-hmm.
grabbing them on a different platform. And which is fine because this person runs a console specific podcast. And uh, they said, I only play on one platform, not because I don't like the other platforms, but because my job is to be so knowledgeable and ingrained in this ecosystem. And there's only so many hours in a day. I have other responsibilities. And so I want to make sure that, since covering PlayStation is my job, I need to cover it the best of my ability until I'm done doing this. And not that I'm going to only focus on one console for the rest of my life, but like I understand where he's coming from, and so I kind of want to apply some of that intent on the things that I am doing here for Boss Rush. And so that's clearly going to be a work in progress, but you know, obviously Nintendo is a huge thing for both of us. Um, and then Destiny is a huge thing for me. So those would be like two major focuses. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I we've had this discussion for a few times, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But like, I don't remember the last time I turned on my PlayStation to sit down and actually play something, like meaningful. I guess God of War would have been the last one. I meant to play Final Fantasy 16, but uh, that train has come and gone, and maybe I will, at some point. But there are just too many games this fall, so to
Yeah.
focus on between the Destiny episodes and Nintendo's clearly not stopping anything with the Switch, and the Game Pass games that are coming, and Ubisoft is putting out some good stuff. So like uh, there's plenty of things to do before I start touching a backlog again. But my
Yeah.
point is like I want to make sure that Pow Block is a Nintendo centric show, and I want to make sure that we are covering it to the best of our ability. Um, so that's kind of where that intent is going, is like I need to make sure I'm covering this stuff to the best of my ability. And as much as I love playing on my Xbox, and it's not like I'm going to stop playing on my Xbox, but like, I haven't done a very good job of playing games on my Switch either. So, or even keeping up with a lot of the news stuff either. And I need
Mm-hmm.
to get back to that if we're going to make this show the the best show we can make it.
Yeah.
So, but that's
So
I don't know. We should probably wrap this pre-show. It's only supposed to be 15 minutes, and we're at 25 already. And I know we could keep going. And we have this. I was making the doc today, and it is the largest doc I think we've made in probably a year.
a lot. One thing that happened on one day just changed the whole week, pretty much for the gaming community,
I also added some
the
stuff in there for
industry.
me because I showed you and Stephanie both something that I want so bad. I cannot wait till they put this out. But we'll talk about it on the
Yes.
main show. Uh, but before we get out of here, just a reminder: the pre-show and the post-show. This is episode 398 of Pow Block that you're listening to right now. The pre-show and post-show will be free for 398, 399, and 400. Starting with 401, the pre-show and post-show are going to act as Patreon exclusive perks, and it will be the extension, or I guess the legacy of expansion pass is kind of what it's meant to be. So, yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts before we get into this main show here, Ed?
Uh, if you guys want to hear more content and more discussions, I join our Patreon. There's
Yeah,
always the right tier just for you.
yeah.
Corey.
As we roll this out, it's going to be, I mean, for $1 a month, I think. Not to make this a big Patreon promotional thing, but I mean, I guess it kind of is, since this is going to be that segment for them. You're going to have however many episodes of Pow Block in a month, a pre-show and a post-show. Boss Rush Podcast has a pre-show and a post-show. And then After Dark will have one or the other. I don't think it's going to have both. I think it's going to have one or the other. We haven't really decided yet. But that's like, let's see, 8 pre-shows, 8 post-shows, and 4 segments, extra segments for After Dark. And then patrons are also getting the rapid fire interview questions too, starting with our next, round of spotlights, after we're done recording this part. So we're adding a rapid fire segment for them. So it's for, I mean, I don't know, for $1 it seems okay to me.
Yeah, a lot of
I pay like $15 a month to Patreon for various things. So and some of them I don't get
yes,
any perks.
yes, yeah,
I
a lot of good content, everybody.
I also know that money is tight for a lot of people, and if you can't support us on Patreon, we do ask you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave us a nice rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or one of these other services that people use apparently. So
Yes.
anyways, that's
Okay.
enough. That's enough plug.
Well, everybody, we're going to get into Nintendo Podcasts.
Wow.
Nintendo Podcast. How to
I mean,
end
I
it.
know it's late, Ed, but dang.
Well, everybody, yeah, we're going to get into Nintendo Pod Block. So, if you're hearing this and you're going to stay with us for the show, please enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Pop Block here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, and I take excited Eddie. Joining me is the one, the only Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Deary. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. How are you this, what is it, Saturday? Is that today? Still Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am doing good, just preparing for the work week. Yeah, and I ascended Tuesday, and then I came back to reality throughout the week. So I am super excited. We had a great Nintendo Direct. We're going to be talking about that in FamiNews. But I don't want to speak more because I want to hand this portion over to Corey because something happened to.
Well, we'll get into that after we do like the housekeeping stuff.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah,
I want to give you.
Did you not look at the new doc, Ed? Did you not see there's a section called current/upcoming content spotlights or guest appearances to plug?
Yes, but I kind of wanted you to speak on how you're feeling after.
We'll get there.
Okay.
It's been a great week, everybody. Well, last week was a great week, everybody. By the time you hear this on Tuesday. Also, like, I've been playing around with the idea of shifting this show to Wednesdays because of all the extra stuff we're doing to it.
Mm-hmm.
But TBD on that. We will definitely let you know the episode before we move it to Wednesdays. I don't know. The way our content is shifting, I feel like our week would be so front loaded that I kind of want to
spread it out?
Yes, thank you. Spread it out.
Welcome.
Anyways, I'm great, sort of. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm great. I tried to stream last night. That was something.
Interesting.
It was, yeah, I didn't know that the stream looked that bad. I need to raise the bit rate by about, I don't know, 3,500 or so.
Wow.
It's fine. I thought maybe, also, I think I'm going to like, anyways, well, I tried to stream. I need to adjust some things. That's I'll end there. I'll keep it there. So,
Okay.
anyways, I'm great though.
That's good. That truly
Had a great
is
direct.
good.
My week did about a big a 180 as you could possibly make from Monday to
Yes.
today. It's been quite the turnaround.
I will say the Boss Rush audio and I should say audio. The video and the writing team, like we had all come together in our own, even though in our own separate ways, produced a lot of work just because of the Nintendo Direct. Um,
Yeah.
and so we have videos up there that you guys could check out. The Boss Rush podcast, they spoke their thoughts on it. We had our special guest David join us for the Nintendo Direct recap, so do check that out also. And then we got tons of great stories and coverage about the Direct on our website. So everybody do go check that out. It is really amazing that just from a 43-minute presentation, a lot of came out of it.
Yeah.
And, like people probably by the time you guys see this episode, um, people will like kind of chilled out from the Nintendo Direct, but will probably still be interested to see what else could be coming this year, because I'm like, even though it was the wrap up to the summer direct with the Nintendo Direct, we still have the fall, and
Yeah.
there's
I mean, we still have
the
Gamescom, we still have Tokyo Game
mm-hmm,
Show, we still have
yep,
probably Nintendo's Fall Direct, we still have the Game Awards, which is not really an award show, it's an announcement show. Like, we still have a lot to go.
yeah,
There's still a lot of time to get Zelda on Switch, because we don't have enough Zelda games on Switch. We need the ones. Look, I want Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Switch as much or more than anybody else. But Twilight Princess has come out on 3 consoles, and 2 of them nobody bought. So whose fault's that? And Wind Waker is also on 2 other consoles that nobody bought. So whose fault's that? That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying, is that I understand that those games are awesome and they need to be on Switch. But also, I have 3 copies of Twilight Princess on my shelf back there. 3 of them.
same,
3.
same.
Okay, so I'm just throwing it out there that you all should have bought the consoles they came out on initially and calm down.
Well, yes. So, but Corey, how about we get into some housekeeping?
That'd be great, Ed. Great.
Yes. Well, everybody, if you want to support Nintendo Pop Block and the Boss Rush Network, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Subscribing to tiers on our Patreon can grant you perks like the new exclusive pre- and post shows for Nintendo Pop Block, voting rights for a spoiler cast and video game book club, exclusive question threads for a Spotlight podcast, early access to After Dark, and more. We even have a free tier to subscribe to. As always, through as always, though, sorry about that, everybody, your viewership and listenership is enough for us. Subscribe to the Boss Rush Network on YouTube and like this video. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or even if you don't, leave us a rating and a nice review on those platforms. You can find all of our banters, features, listicles, reviews, and more on our website, bossrush.net.
Here's a cool thing about the free tier on Patreon. There is an RSS feed on Patreon that allows you to have all of our shows in one feed, even if you don't pay for them. So that's a nice thing.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm listening to, because there's a couple podcast networks that I listen to, and usually I'm that person that likes all my podcasts kind of spread out and not, you know, I don't like multiple shows popping up on feeds, and I saw the feedback that other people maybe aren't fans of that either, which I'm also addressing. By the way, Spotlights already have their own feed, so you can go check that out. The Boss Rush Spotlight podcast feed. But if you listen to a network and you like most of, if not all of the shows, and you listen to them on time, having them all in that one feed and kind of organized by show is kind of nice. So,
Yes.
I feel like I've been plugging Patreon more this episode than I have the last 2 years that we've had it. But, we're trying to build something. So, I kind of want people to know about it.
Yes.
It's fine.
Well, Corey, there's some current and upcoming content, spotlights, and guest appearance to plug. So you wanna take over?
Well, you were on Fun and Games. Your episode of Fun
Yes.
and Games released last week?
Yes. So everybody, I was on the Fun and Games podcast, and I so as a solo podcaster, I talked about Metroid Other M and why I love this game, and it's just the game means so much to me, and I want you to go check it out at Fun the Game Podcast, and listen to it. It's only about 11 minutes, and I think you guys would definitely enjoy what I have to say about that game. It's still one of the decisive games for a lot of people. It still creates big discussions.
It's weird how do I want to say this? It's weird how that game got trashed so hard when it came out, and now there's a bunch of revisionist history. Oh, it's not that bad. It's actually kind of interesting. I actually like the 3D action adventure style Metroid game. It's like, come on, guys. It wasn't that bad when it came out. I get it. I don't want to hold the Wii remote sideways either, and I don't want to have to point at the screen to switch perspectives, but like, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was a good episode though, Ed. I enjoyed it. I listened to it.
Thank you very much.
I liked
so
Other
yes,
End. It was like one of the few games on the Wii that I actually liked. So
it was the first Metroid game that I completed 100%. Like I got a straight 100% on my first playthrough.
Yeah.
So yeah, so everybody go check that out. Definitely enjoyed it. It's called Funny Games Podcast. You will definitely enjoy my Metroid Other M discussion.
Yeah, I actually need to record one tomorrow. Well, Sunday. I will have already recorded it by the time this episode comes out. Matt invited me to be on the show, so I'm doing it on a pretty recent game. Actually, I'm doing it on Senua Saga Hellblade 2, because nobody seems to like that game except for me. So,
And me.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, you go on Twitter and everybody's trashing it, even though it's sitting at like a 79 or an 80 on Metacritic. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand. But I'm going to talk about Senua Saga, which I'm very excited for. I don't know how I'm going to put it into a 10 to 20 minute solo episode, but I'll have to figure it out. Sorry, Matt, in advance. They're going to have to edit quite a bit out, I guess. No, it'll be fine. But also, what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Just a little behind the scenes with mine. I recorded my episode through Audacity, and I just did the edits there and then sent it to Matt.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so,
I will probably edit it myself and then send it to him, right? Because
yeah,
we know how to, or send it to them. Sorry, I'm adjusting to the
we're adjusting.
pronoun thing too. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Uh, I will have to send it to them, but I will. We know how to edit, so you know it shouldn't be a huge burden on them to edit the rest of it. So yeah, I'm excited to do that tomorrow. At some point, I need to do that. I need to do a reaction video to the Destiny trailer, which we'll get to in a minute. Um, but at some point in the near future, I will be appearing on co-op mode uh, with Todd and Mark.
yes,
It was they wanted me to come on this week, but I'm like we said in the pre-show, I'm interviewing Aaron Grubb with Stephanie, so I won't be able to make it. But maybe like in 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be on that show, and I'm very excited. I love Secret Friends. I love them so much. They're the
same.
best. They're the best. Uh, the other thing is I reviewed Destiny 2: The Final Shape, which uh, it's so weird. We haven't done a show together since this review came out, and I put it out on the 9th. And it's the 22nd as of this recording, because you did the episode after me, right?
Yeah,
With Josh and Cordy, and then I did an episode while you were at work, and then the direct stuff happened, and we just haven't had a chance to promote it.
yeah.
Um, so that was yeah, everything surrounding that review has been very um I don't know how to put it. Help me, Ed.
It was a big moment for Boss Rush, definitely for you, Corey. Um, it was something that you put a lot of time, uh, effort, love, and care and passion into it, and you even posted a picture just like you started Weekly Strike, the
Mm-hmm.
Destiny podcast on DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and through all this time, through all the updates, the expansions, the challenges and everything, Destiny was that game for you.
Mm-hmm.
So to see a video with your score in it, and it just took all of us aback when you seen it. You shared the picture with me, and you had a circle and everything, and I
Yeah.
looked in and it said 5 out of 5 bossrush.net, and it's just like, that's major
Yeah.
to have your review score, even if it's just from a small website or a content creator, to have your name on the side, in the middle, next to IGN, like, that's huge. You
Yeah.
know,
Um
it's go ahead.
I well, I guess we should probably, if people don't know what we're talking about, I guess. Essentially, so from a personal note, uh my first, like Ed said, my first podcast was a Destiny podcast. It started 9 years ago, called DNA Weekly Strike. It ran for about a year and a half, from the second expansion called House of Wolves through the Rise of Iron, which was the third major the third expansion, fourth expansion, I
Hmm.
guess technically, of Destiny 1. Uh, and then it ended, but that kind of kicked off this whole podcast network idea slash building all this. And essentially, my love for Destiny has built all of this. I mean, obviously Pow Block has a huge part in it too, but my content creation career as an individual started with that podcast revolving around Destiny. So I wrote a review for the Final Shape. I am a Bungie creator. I'm a hashtag Bungie creator. You have to say it like that. I don't know why you have to say hashtag Bungie creator. Uh, Bungie provided me a code for the final shape and the annual pass, even though I already had it pre-ordered and I already bought the collector's edition and I already bought all this stuff. So you can take it with a grain of salt. You can take what I say, whatever. I have been pretty forthcoming about how not great Destiny has been in the past. So I don't know. I don't know if I need to defend myself really, but some people like to know that, I got to be open and honest with people, and they can do with it what they will, right?
Yes.
So I wrote the review for the final shape. Their PR company reached out to me and asked, it's Uber strategist, Sean from Uber strategist, nice guy. CJ and Sean have been perfect to work with, by the way, from Uber strategist. I can't say enough good things about them. They actually feel like people and not just a mailing list that you're on, which is 99% of the companies we work for. No offense. They've been great, and CJ handles a bunch of other things besides Destiny for us too. So it's been really awesome. I just can't accept most of it because it's all PC stuff, and I don't play on PC. But Sean reached out to me on Friday and said, "Hey, can we use the Boss Rush Network's review of Destiny 2, the final shape, in future marketing materials if we choose to do so?" And I had to sign a release. I had to read this huge thing that said, you can't change your review after you sign this thing. You can't, alter your score. You can't go back and change things. You just can't, a bunch of
Everything's
things, right?
locked.
Yeah.
It's
And,
locked
and
in.
it's pretty standard stuff for people who, we get stuff like that sometimes when we review smaller games and whatever. And, it's just kind of like, it's just a standard thing, but it's Bungie, it's PlayStation, right? And I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. You gave me a code. This is probably just a standard follow up for giving me the code, right? As a Bungie creator. So Thursday, right before the TWAB dropped, which is this week at Bungie, shorthand is the TWAB, although they changed it now. It's called the TWID now because it's this week in Destiny because they're preparing to launch Marathon next year. So it'll be this week in Marathon and this week in Destiny. The final shape accolades trailer dropped, and like, I don't usually watch the trailers when they pop up on Twitter. I'm just like, okay, whatever, a new Destiny trailer, whatever. For some reason, for some reason, I was like, you know what, I should probably watch this because I really like the final shape and I just want to see what everybody gave it. And our review was there. Our review is like on the splash screen at the end where they start, flashing like all the scores. And it took me a minute to like process that this was like a real thing that was happening. And while I was watching it, I was watching it at work. And my boss walks in and he's like, what's so interesting? And I had to tell him, right? And that was like kind of like an awkward interaction because like he knows that I do all this stuff. I mean, it's the reason why he hired me was all the podcasts and YouTube stuff, right? But like,
Yeah.
he doesn't really pay attention to video games, like, especially like we do, right? Like they have a Switch and like, that kind of stuff, but he doesn't really know what Destiny is, right? And I had to like sit there and explain to him like kind of what Destiny was and why it was a big deal. And while I'm explaining it to him, I'm still trying to process what I just watched while trying to figure out how to tell people without sounding like I'm I don't know, bragging, I
Pompous.
guess. I don't know what, and so I texted you. The first three people I texted you, I texted Stephanie, and I texted David. I said, hey, look what just happened. And I sent you the screenshot.
Yes.
But then I was like, I should send them the trailer to make sure that they know that I didn't make up this image. Which, like, I don't know why that was the second thought that popped into my head was like,
Uh-huh.
what if they thought I doctored this image? But like, it's there. It's the first review you see is like, well, when the splash screen starts, like the way the camera pans in on the traveler, right? Like it goes from Earth being finalized, and I'm not going to explain what that means, but basically, like you see Earth being kind of destroyed by the big bad of Destiny 2, and then it
Yeah.
pans over to the Traveler, which is the big white ball that you have seen for 10 years and don't understand what it is, right? But as it's panning, the reviews start fading in around it, right? And ours and IGN's pop up at the same time, and they are the first ones that pop up, and I'm just like, I probably watched the trailer 150 times over the course of 3 days. And I literally sat on my couch in my living room and cried while my wife gave my kids a bath. Cuz like I couldn't believe it. I
We
couldn't
we
I
we
couldn't
were on the
believe it.
phone. We
Yeah.
were on the phone.
Yeah.
And you just like, Ed, I gotta talk to somebody. I'll just like pop off because I was stunned
Mhm.
to see it, to be like, oh, this is major. Because like I was telling you, I know it felt overwhelming, but I'm just like, this is a major.
I
I even
mean, you look at the names around us too. It's not like it's not like, I mean, I'm sure some of these are smaller outlets too, but like Game
these
Informer, IGN,
yeah,
Game Rant, Dextero, Screen Rant, Games Radar Plus, right? Like
right,
Twinfinite, God is a Geek. Like these are huge sites.
huge,
We
right,
use these sites every week on our you know what I mean? Like
right. And
these
so
are
to
go ahead.
have us on there. And really, this is all you, Corey. Because I told you,
It's not though. Let's
I
I
mean, but I mean, I said this is all you because from where you started at to get to this point, like, and not give it up, even though there's been times that you want to give up, like, this is the hard work and dedication that you put in. And then with other, and of course me and others and all of that. But I'm like, to build for something that was so small to get to this point, to have just your score in a video from independent company at a time that's now under Sony, under Bungie, the people who made Halo, one of the biggest first person shooters.
mhm.
Like this, like, people don't process this. You
Mm.
are you who it don't
I still can't believe
can believe it.
that it's literally my laptop wallpaper
Yeah.
because I'm so excited and I'm looking at it and it says bossrush.net under it and I don't understand. I still haven't
This,
comprehended it.
I think this is the feeling that um this is the feeling that I kind of had
Okay.
when my article, before I even joined, me and you even met, my articles on VentureBeat
Mhm.
like were showing up, and I'm like, this is Dan Shu, the
Mhm.
person I love as editor chief in EGM, is producing
Mhm.
on their front page. I had some
Mhm.
crazy writings, but like, the person whose work I have been reading ever since he joined EGM and was at One Up, it like until they left and closed down. Like, to have my articles on that front page,
Mhm.
it's overwhelming. I'm like, I worked without me even knowing how hard I worked. I'm like, my love for video games is now showing. My love for writing is now showing. Now we got a team that can make my writing better. Shout out to the writing team at
Mhm.
Bus Rush.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I had a friend like you, I would have been showing you crazy, like Corey. My article was on VentureBeat.
Well, you
Like
know,
that's
you
the
know what
kind
I,
of feeling that I had.
you
Okay.
know what I, you know the first thing I thought of after I was not in shock of this,
Hmm.
was when you and Larry interviewed Tom Happ for Axiom Verge, right? And
Yeah.
them kind of allegedly, quote unquote, allegedly confirming that it was coming, the physical edition was coming to Wii U, and then they had to retract the statement. But then like the episode had already gone out, and like everybody was reporting on it, including outlets like Game Informer and IGN had articles with you guys in there in the article, and I'm like that was a thought that I thought of too. I'm like, man, this is like that was a big moment for you guys when you were doing World 1 to blow up
Yeah.
a little bit, right? And like that's kind of like that. I was thinking for I don't know why I was thinking of that moment, um, but just to go back to this is like you know on a personal level, how connected I've been with Destiny and how connected Destiny has been with whether people know it or not, how influential it's been on building not just Boss Rush but the previous things we've tried, right? And um you know the last 2 years being a Bungie creator, not really knowing what to do about it, doing with it. And obviously Tower Casuals is kind of like a side part of that. um
Yes.
I don't want to say obligation, but that process. And trying to keep up with everything and trying to keep up with the collectibles and do things with the collectibles and post them on Instagram and socials, and trying to figure out how to do more under the hashtag Bungie creator brand. And them giving me a code for the final shape kind of felt like the full circle moment of like, oh man, I finally made it. Like I'm getting codes for these massive games to review and play. And kind of like that for me was like the moment where I was like, I don't know what to do because this is such a huge thing. And then to see this in not only on Bungie's website and Destiny's, or Bungie's website and Destiny's YouTube channel, but I mean, it's on the PlayStation YouTube channel, like directly as a PlayStation branded video. It's on, the PlayStation store. This Accolades trailer is on the PlayStation website, the store website. When the store updates on Tuesday, this trailer is going to be under the Final Shape store page.
Hmm.
Like our name is going to be everywhere. It's on the Xbox YouTube channel. It's on the Xbox store right now. I checked yesterday. yesterday. Uh, and like I'm just on a personal level, I am incredibly like, this it's like when we were at PAX, like this is just, and people were kind of recognizing us in the name and the brand and everything. Like it just kind of felt like we had made it. And this was another one of those moments where like on a personal level, it felt like all the work that I personally have put into everything was worth it, and all the things like I've ignored in life over the last decade or so. And you know then I look at Boss Rush as a whole, and you look at the team and the writers and the hosts and you know the producers and everything, and like this whole thing that we've all put together. And the writers that put stuff out every day for us to
Hmm.
even get noticed at all, in the podcasts for people hosting, co-hosting and hosting the podcasts that get noticed, and us going to events where we get noticed, whether I'm there or David's there or you're there or Stephanie or various other people within Boss Rush, right? Like, and then the stuff that Cordy is doing on TikTok and Instagram with the reels. And you know uh, this this is what I said in the writing chat on Discord, and then we can kind of move on from this, because I don't want this to be about this, right? There's you know I might talk about this in a separate video, I might not. I kind of held on to it for a day, to be honest. I didn't, like not like I shared it with you guys because this is a big step for Boss Rush, but I didn't share it on social media until the day after. But none of this would have, like, this is what I said in the writing chat. I said on Discord, I said, this is a huge win for Boss Rush. Like, yes, this is my review for Destiny, but everybody posts things every day, or some form of everybody posts something every day, whether it's an article or a TikTok or a podcast or a video, sharing it across social media, sharing the content, getting eyes on the website, getting eyes on the brand, getting eyes on everything. This is a huge win for everybody. This just happened to be the one review that got plucked and noticed and picked out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened to be mine. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. But, I owe a lot to the writing team. I owe a lot to David. I owe a lot to Stephanie for like keeping me in line. I owe a lot to you for making me do this in the first place after everything that happened with Nerds Gone Rogue, right? Like, I don't know. This is a huge moment for the team. And I'm still in shock that this even happened, right? And there are a lot of things that, I do outside of the camera stuff, right? That I'm trying to make us better in a certain way, or I'm trying to make connections, or I'm trying to get people on our shows or be guest hosts on other shows. And I don't know, it just makes all that work because 90% of the time you're ignored, right? I mean, how many people have you reached out to that you're just ignored, or they say no? But there's always the 10% that say yes, or the 10% that acknowledge you or recognize what you're doing, and it just kind of, I don't know, that 10% makes it all kind of worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to spend any more time on this, but I know Pow Block is our most listened to show, and I know a lot of the writers listen to it. So they need to be acknowledged for this too,
Yes.
And this review is only as good as it is anyway, because Stephanie and David edited it and put it through the process and, do whatever their magic. I just wrote it and said, hey, help me, so, but thank you, Bungie, for doing this. Thanks to PlayStation. Thanks to, Destiny for being around as long as you have and as influential, I guess. But I don't know. This was a huge deal, and I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. So we should probably move on. But I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I just can't believe it. I just can't.
Well,
Corey, everybody deserves credit for this. Everybody at Boss Rush deserves credit for this. So
yes. Well, Corey, we do have plans for expansion pass everybody, but more details will come in the next week for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of talked about it on the pre-show, but we're going to have more definitive plans probably next week, and we'll share them with you. But essentially, expansion pass will probably be integrated into our post show. We'll get there. Ed and I are having discussions this week about how to handle that. So I'm excited and excited about it. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/bossrush. Patreon producers for this week are Gabriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Roberts, Christian S. Deer,
Well, everybody, it's time for Snacktendo.
Yes, 37 minutes into the
Well, I'm gonna go first, Corey, because so this is a journey that I went on. So just please bear with us. So Friday, I was supposed to go to another store after work and kind of help them out. I thought I was going to be cashiering or closing. Didn't know. I get there and I see another manager, and they're working. And so I called that store's manager, and we got it all together. We got the confusion. They apologized for not updating me. So I was just like, well, I'm right by my favorite sushi place. So I go to my to the place and I get my salmon king of salmon roll. But I also get this cherry blossom cola. I don't know if I ever talked about this on the show. I may have, but um it's this kind of cola that has a RC taste to it, but it's it smells like cherry blossoms, which is really a nice sweet smell, and the aftertaste is so nice and mellow, and it's just so delicious and everything. But one of the things was that my sushi was, I think the rice was too warm, and so everything started coming apart. And I'm like,
show.
no. Like I could barely like use my chopsticks to get in everything. But I still ate it. I had a salad with some ranch with it, and then some miso soup. I got some snacks here and there. Nothing too big. But I I'm just like, well, maybe if I go to my other this Japanese mall, maybe they'll have some snacks and stuff. They didn't really have that many snacks, but they had like this nice kind of orange juice, this orange and apple juice kind of mixed together, was which was really good. It was very nice and refreshing. Um I ended up getting some Pocky sticks. I always get the banana cream uh, flavor, which is like really really good. Banana's like one of my favorite fruits and favorite flavors and things. So I definitely enjoyed that. But they had some of their like kind of big dinners and meats on sale. So they had some boiled salmon to go, which would have been like $9. It went down to like $6 and some change. So it was like a 30% discount. They were trying to get rid of all of that stuff. And so I brought some and took it home with me. And started eating. I was just like, well, let me just eat this before it gets too cold and I forget. And I started eating that mug. It was like the best. The meat was just right. And it was a big piece too. It wasn't anything small. I didn't eat the skin or anything. But like it was amazing. I'm like, oh, this is so good. I had some Mexican chipotle kind of salad at from Chili's from work, which was really good. I took the avocado and the tortilla chips out of it. I kind of just want to feel like having the insides to eat it, and that was really good. And then had a um, salad with blue cheese dressing on there, so that one was really good. But nothing new yet. I seen the Dr Pepper coconut, but I'm gonna try that next week. I want to give that one a try, and everything. I did try the Mountain Dew. Everybody, they got the Liberty flavors and stuff. So I will report on that next week. I'm not gonna speak too much on it, but yeah, they are great flavors. The tryout. But I'm going to talk about that next week. Corey, what have you been snacking on?
Well, I haven't really been snacking on a lot. We had pizza night and movie night tonight, so that was fun.
Yes.
Domino's has a new crust type, Ed. It's not
The
really it's not
the
really new,
the
but they
pizza
brought it back. The New York crust
pizza.
pizza, which
Hmm.
is basically the normal crust, Ed. Basically, they just make it flatter and cut
Yeah,
it into 6 pieces instead of 8. That's it. That's the
pretty
only
much.
difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had a handmade pan pizza this week from Domino's. Wow,
yeah,
so
it was
good.
it was good though. Like, so when it's flat, like when the dough is flatter like that, it
Hmm.
becomes drier and not as greasy actually. And I like my pizza dry. I don't like it with a lot of grease on it. So
Yeah,
it was actually, I thought it actually tasted much better. I don't think they need to go so far as to call it
New
New
York
York
style.
style pizza. Uh, but it was really good. I had my usual bacon and jalapenos on it, which is very delicious.
Was it
But then
half and half
no,
for
you
you,
put
or
no, it's all bacon and jalapenos on the whole thing.
oh, I didn't know. I thought you were sharing it for the whole family. That's why.
Well, so Domino's has the thing where you get $6.99 for a 2 topping pizza, but if
Yeah,
the more you order, the more you get. It's $7 per item or whatever, as long as you order
yeah.
2 or more. So what we do is we usually get it. I usually get my own pizza
Okay.
because I get my own pizza, and then my wife gets her pizza. And then we get a third pizza that's always double pepperoni for the kids because they will eat it. Like, they ate it for dinner tonight. They will probably eat it for lunch tomorrow. And knowing them, they will probably also eat it for dinner if there's any left. So that's, one pizza gives them 3 meals, which is easier for us. I know it's not the
Gotcha.
healthiest thing for kids to eat pizza 3 times in 2 days, but
It's the weekend.
it's the weekend. We're poor. We bought a house, so they're gonna they're gonna eat what they have.
True.
uh, but I also made the awful decision of eating ice cream tonight, and I know, like, I don't eat ice cream because I know how it makes me feel afterwards. Um, because I'm lactose intolerant, and B, uh, when that happens, I usually don't feel very good. So
Team
we'll just leave
Rocket.
it.
Team Rocket blast off.
Oh God. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I had some chocolate ice cream tonight too, and it was pretty good. I'm not a big ice cream person.
I am like days like
I
this when like, it's really hot and stuff. I definitely go get some ice cream.
I really have to be in the mood for ice cream, to be
It helps
honest.
keep it helps keep me cool. Um, during times like this, like when it's just hot, I'd be like, I gotta get some ice cream, like to keep myself cool and
Yeah.
everything.
So that's kind of all. I didn't have any pizza rolls today, Ed.
Oh,
This is like
rats!
the first Saturday in like 6 months that I haven't eaten pizza rolls for lunch. Uh,
Shoot,
Mostly because I was working on updating our administrative stuff for Boss Rush, our docs, and filling out our Power Block doc to include new
mm,
things and whatever. And so, uh, but yeah, I love pizza when it's good. I love pizza. I've grown to become more picky about pizza though, which is, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because I just used to eat garbage pizza all the time
mm.
and was fine.
I'm learning to uh like when I cook different pizzas and stuff, like different brand pizzas and stuff. I'm learning to be like, okay, if I do this time for this pizza, I'll see how it turned out. But like I said a couple episodes ago, that I now just take 2 minutes off from its initial time. And then when it comes out, I still let it do this 5 minutes of cooking. and stuff. But when it comes out, it just comes out just right. And I'm like, yeah, I think I kind of perfected it, and I'm super happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody, it's time for Play with Power. And I okay, so I have been playing Metroid Zero Mission, loving that game. I'm playing Unsighted, which is like a top-down action game, where you are this robot, and
You say
know,
Unsighted?
yeah,
Yeah, that game's cool. It's got a Majora's Mask element to it.
yeah. But so I cut the time limit off for it. I kind of want to, be able to explore and things like that. So I'm enjoying it that way with it, but it's a great action game. I am like kind of loving it. Getting uh I think I have 3 gems right now. I got 2 more that I need to do. The boss fights have been challenging, but they've been good boss fights for it. So yeah, it is a really fun game. And a great soundtrack, and the game is available for Switch everybody, so I do recommend playing that. I'm going to save the Destiny talk for when you talk about Destiny, Corey, because I I have some feelings about, and it's more of the
Yeah.
mechanic
It's
than
not playing it right, basically.
it's more the mechanic than it is the game
Which
itself.
mechanic? The darkness zone? Where you die and you have to restart?
Yeah.
That's the
So this is the problem that I have with it. Is that if it was just only for boss battles, I would be fine with it. But because it does the Insomniac thing where it is too long and it's dragged out, um it like, so we do all of that over, and I understand that it's designed for you to have multiple players, but it feels like they didn't take into account that what if you just want to do single player.
this whole expansion is designed around a single player experience. They even designed the zone to where other people can't come into the zone with you unless you invite them. It's a single player experience. This entire expansion was designed around a single player experience. That was like the big deal. That was like the whole point of it.
Okay.
Come on, Ed.
Because you
Shoot the
said I'm
things.
playing it. Because you said I'm playing it wrong, and it's not that I'm playing it wrong. It's just that
I just like to tell you you're playing it wrong. I didn't really mean you're playing it wrong. Kind of.
I'm just saying that it is too long of a battle, and so we do it over and over because it's not your
which
fault or
part is
something.
it?
It's every time I encounter it. I just don't like
just
the dark zones. I just don't like it when it locks me out because I don't like it because the fights are too long. And it's just
they're
like
not long. You just have to figure out the mechanic to make it shorter.
But there is no mechanic to make it shorter. That's the problem with it.
There are mechanics in every single darkness zone. I promise you, there are mechanics that make it shorter.
It does not feel like it.
You have to figure it out.
How? Because the thing about it is that I'm running around the whole map, with my guns and stuff, and switching and getting my armors and all of that stuff. It is still taking too long, and that's why I say it's the Insomniac thing. That when sometimes I feel like it's in certain games, I feel like if your fight is feeling close to almost 25 minutes and it's just a regular fight.
25 minutes? There's no fight in that game that takes 25 minutes.
Yes.
The longest any of the fights took me was like 10 or 12 minutes. Maybe.
It takes me longer than that because I keep dying and I gotta restart it all.
I don't know what you're doing. Are you playing on the legendary campaign on accident?
No, I'm playing it on normal. Everything is literally on normal.
I don't know, man. I'll have to I'll jump in with you and play it with you and figure it out because it should not
Okay.
be taking you that long. It
It
should
takes a
it
but
should not be taking you that
but
long.
I had this feeling ever since the first Destiny that I always felt like it was not needed because these fights take too long.
I
Especially
think
when you got go
one
ahead.
it also like it also expects you to know how to play the game because it's 10 years old, right? So
Mhm.
it doesn't handhold you to show you how to use certain mechanics or how to like when the best time to use certain mechanics, right? It just expects you to know that because it a lot of it, especially the final shape, which is like essentially a love letter to everybody who's been playing since
Yeah.
the first game, right? It's, you know, even Destiny 2, I guess you could, you know, the beginning of Destiny 2 at least. Like it's designed to cater, this expansion is designed to cater to the nostalgia for everybody that has been playing. And
Mhm.
in that nostalgia, it kind of expects you to know how to use, even though the subclass is new, it still expects you to know how to utilize the things within the subclass. And it expects you to know which situations to utilize those things. And you haven't played in a long time, right? And so, and since
Yes.
then they've changed the game 3 or 4 times since you played anyway.
Yeah.
And so that is probably why you're having a difficult time with it.
I think it's more of because my thing is definitely okay.
What
Let me get
class are you
a
playing as?
hunter,
Okay. Well,
and the thing
you should be having the
and
best time because this campaign is designed like there's
well,
there's specific dialogue designed specifically for hunters because Cade and Crow are both hunters.
yeah,
And they have like there's different story beats if you're a hunter, which is
I,
awesome.
I got to the part where um so I just got my knife ability that I could throw and then teleport and then swing it around.
You just got that?
I just got that. I've been having a hard time because of the dark zones. If
Well,
I'm in a
that's
regular if I'm in a regular fight, I have like literally no problems and everything because I'm of course I'm using my assault guns, my pulse rifles. If I got to use a handgun, I usually use it and everything. But like, if I want mad damage, okay, I gotta hide. I gotta hide around, sneak around, so I can snipe and everything. So I just when you were streaming yesterday and I wasn't responding or anything, I was telling you because I was in a dark zone stuff and I can't pause the game and speak to you or anything. It's because
I
I
know.
have to focus on this dark zone. If I've already spent if 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 I have spent a long time fighting everything and out of nowhere I get hit and I die, all that progress that I made is done. I gotta redo over. They
Mhm.
don't make it. They don't make it easier. They don't make it easier because of the dark zone of not being able to respond. If I die, fine. But if I could just continue to where I'm at,
Mhm.
I'd be like, okay, I'm fine with this
Mhm.
and everything. I could do this whole second session or third session over from that part. I would love to do that, but to do almost 3 or 4, all of that all over, that I'm like,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And then if I die, I gotta do all of that from the beginning, and that's it. It I won't say it's pretty much not respecting my time for it.
Well,
But
it's not respecting the new player's time or the lapsed player's time. Like I said,
mm,
it's expecting people to know how to play the game correctly and expecting you to have certain things that you clearly don't have because you haven't been playing, like any sort of legendary or masterworked weapons or armor or any sort of exotics that you've grinded for or any sort of, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
at every chest you get either a weapon or a piece of armor to upgrade with and
yeah, and
an upgrade module which
and
you can
I've
use
been
to fuse,
and
right?
I've been
So
applying. I've been applying all of that. In fact, like I know purple is higher than blue. I know yellow. I don't think. I think yellow's higher than purple. Maybe.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the color schemes I know, and I know
Well, you
that
don't always need to go by the color schemes. You need to go by the number,
numbers. Yeah,
especially in a
and that's
campaign situation.
right, and that's what I've been doing, making sure I'm like, okay, this is higher than this number, even though they're different colors. I'm applying, and then I see my thing going up. I think it's just that if this is going to be a long fight and everything, it's just that if I die in it, okay, fine, I could die, but I just like I want to pick up from where I left off. Or like if I completed a whole section and stuff, I want to start from that next section. That's all I'm really saying because I'm good at sniping. Uh, I like the assault rifle because I could continue to shoot more and uh drain their energy and stuff. Like I think if I know I'm in a long fight, I want to try to get it done as quickly as I can and everything because I know if one mistake happens and I die, then I gotta do all of that over. And I just don't want to do that and everything. But I will say this: I'm loving the story. I'm loving Crow and K6. Uh,
Mhm.
I love their dynamic and their talking. Zavala and what's his name? Like finally met and stuff.
Mhm.
Like I'm loving that. Just like it really feels that I feel like the traveler is that bird that's just leading me to everything.
It is.
And stuff. Okay.
Well, I
Um.
guess spoilers, I guess, but not really.
Uh. But then it's like when that darkness creeps into the mind and starts talking. Shout
Mhm.
out to the voice actor for that. That I love when that happens.
Yeah,
It's such
it's
a
the
great
witness.
effect.
Yeah,
The witness. Yeah,
yeah.
it's such a great effect, and it makes that darkness and that story in the story like feel threatening, feel like very intriguing, and like your ghost would be like, I don't like this. Even your
Mhm.
ghost is feeling like, dude, we need to get out of here real quick.
Yeah, it's it's a really good campaign. I want to replay it. I have been debating on whether or not to go through everything on my warlock again, but
Mm,
I am really behind on my warlock, and I really don't want to put in the time on the other campaigns right now to do that. But
yeah.
technically, I don't have to. But there's a lot of things I need to grind for just to kind of prepare myself for it, and I don't know.
So
My
so
weapons are fine, like because I can move my weapons over, right? But it's
yeah.
the like I don't play my warlock really at all anymore, so like I don't really know what the exotics do. I don't really know, how a lot of the abilities and the grenades and the specials work. Like I need to figure all that out.
So I'm assuming that when I get a weapon and my slots are all full, I gotta go back to the tower to get them right.
Uh no, you can do it at in the Pale Heart. There's a vault in the Pale Heart.
When
You know where you
you're
go talk to Ghost at that
Yeah.
station?
So I
Right.
tried going there and it's not showing me where I could switch stuff out or anything.
It's well, if you're familiar with Destiny 1, the vault is on the other side of the pavilion. So if you're looking directly at Ghost at the like as like a vendor, right?
Yeah.
you look at Ghost and you turn left and you go straight over, you'll see the vault emblem kind of pop up once you get
It's like
closer
a
to it.
green one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can put stuff away in there, and then you'll have to go to the postmaster, which is kind of by Ghost, to pick up the stuff that you have lost, like that you couldn't pick up. So I don't know, it's all there. Also, you can just download the app and switch it out from there.
Because
Either
I'm
the
just
Destiny
like,
2 app or the app that I use. A lot of people use Dim, which is Destiny Item Manager.
yeah,
A lot of people use Dim, but I use the Ishtar Collective app, which is very useful because it also has like the lore and the story and everything in it. So, but it also has like a item manager in it, which is very useful. And like it has they finally implemented this into the game, the loadouts, but like you can actually set loadouts in Ishtar, and I think it's called Ishtar Commander actually. Ishtar Collective is the website.
yeah. Because that's just like, for me, I I think my combo is sniper rifle and assault weapon, and then my second would be the pulse rifle if I need it. Um, but I'm like, I like the assault rifle because of the continuous shooting to my gun runs out, and then the auto refill, and then I continue shooting stuff. Snipers, I could, because it takes off so much damage. Um, as long as they can stand still, or I could get that good old headshot, I could pop them. Because um, I was in while you were streaming yesterday, I had that big uh it was kind of like a Titanfall giant and everything. I had to break his shield so I could shoot his middle part and everything. So I'm on top of this house. Um, what is his name? Kamir? No. Uh,
Wait, on top of a house?
yeah, it's the blue guy.
Oh, Zavala.
But the is that Zavala? Yeah,
Zavala.
Zavala.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
you're at the house where he's like
where he
mourning his
put that.
family or whatever.
Yeah, and he had put that shield around and they attacked them. I defeated that. So I'm at the part where, like I said, I just got my like next special weapon or ability. So
Uh,
I'm at where the ghost said, "This is where I found you." And it's
yeah.
all of those cars.
You're like pretty close to the end, actually.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, yeah, you're probably like at least 2/3 of the way through, probably further. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
it's that final fight though against the witness is, well, I should say this: the final mission of the campaign against the witness was really hard. The final mission that they give you, that's not part of the campaign, but it's really the final mission of the story,
Yeah.
that you have to go to a separate thing to do. The 12
Yeah.
person mission is incredible. But yeah, I don't. I will. We'll talk. We've talked an awful lot about Destiny here. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll talk later about it, but I will help you through some of that stuff. And I would also like to get a second character through all this stuff. So maybe we'll run through it and have a better,
Yeah.
you'll have a better experience when you play with somebody that
I
kind of
kind
knows.
of I kind of want to go through the main campaign that they put in after they took out the original one.
Oh,
I
the
kind of
new
want to
light
know what.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that teaches you some of the mechanics of the game, but it doesn't really teach you anything. And Shahan sucks. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's fine. We can. I have to do that anyway. We'll run through the new light stuff together, and we'll run through the campaigns together. We'll figure that out at some point. Uh, so we'll figure it out
Yeah. Yeah.
offline, though.
But that's it for me, everybody.
Uh, well, I've also been playing Destiny 2: The Final Shape, and I've been having a grand old time. I finished. Obviously, the campaign stuff has been over for me for a while, but I've been playing the new episode that's out. There's two. Act 1 of episode Echoes, which is really interesting. So the whole concept of uh, echoes are that since the witness is gone, the darkness has no leader, and so it's causing a power struggle throughout the galaxy and creating chaos, right? And
Yeah.
like chaos is kind of looked at differently in Destiny than what you typically think of as chaos, right? It's just like there's a power struggle since there's no darkness containing certain entities, and there is time travel and timeline manipulation involved in Destiny also, so bear with me for a second. Essentially, what's going on now is like the Vex, the robot race in Destiny, are a collective hive mind. They are all controlled by one central being. Well, in this expansion, they anything that is mechanical, including exos, uh, because they are infused with what we like to call Vex milk, and uh, darkness energy is how are like the lifeblood of exos are a mix between the Vex milk and the light and the darkness energy, and so anything that's and it's affecting Saint 14, so that's part of the story, but we haven't gotten there yet. But essentially, the Vex are becoming infected with some sort of virus, and um, we're gonna meet the big bad of the Vex finally. It seems in this episode. But Echoes, essentially, there are nine at the, man. I don't want to spoil this for you because you haven't finished the campaign yet. But essentially, there are nine new threats, not new, but either existing threats or new threats or threats we haven't really encountered before, that we have to take care of, right? And the first episode is Vex themed, which is what we're doing right now. The second one is uh, Scorn slash Elixni themed, which Fickrel, if you played Forsaken, was like the leader of the Scorn, has somehow returned. And there's a meme going around from episode 9 of Star Wars. Somehow Fickrel returned or whatever. It's but the whole concept of it is that the Scorn are kind of undead, fallen, and so the whole concept of that season of that episode will be vampire hunters, and so that's kind of cool. And there's potion crafting, and there's going to be specific weapons to wield that are inspired by vampire hunters of the past, and it's kind of cool. It's really cool. I can't wait for that. And then the third one is hive themed, which is kind of the first hint that we might be leaving the solar system,
Mm.
and we'll be returning to the dreadnought. And they're hinting that we may be becoming a hive navigator of some sort, and we'll be piloting the dreadnought to other
Oh,
places in the solar system or in the in the galaxy or whatever.
this is
They
interesting.
didn't confirm that, but it seems like that's the way it's going, because the armor set is called uh it's called like the Navigator's Trust or something, is like
Mm.
the armor set is what it's called. And then like there's the weapons that are all hive themed, and the dreadnought is made out of old Ahamkara bones and Wish Dragon bones. So like you're starting to see the skeletons of those dragons kind of pop through the exterior, which is opening up new interesting secrets that were not in the Taken King version of the dreadnought. And um, yeah, it's kind of neat. Also, the other interesting thing is like since the second act, or the second, not the second act, the second echo, or the second whatever they're calling it, episode is centered around the Scorn and the Elixni, that might be where they're bringing the Wrath of the Machine raid back, which would be exciting. That's one of my favorite raids, which means they also have the potential to bring new Siva weapons in, which would be awesome. Because the exotic weapon from that raid, they've already done with 0 Hour. It's a secret mission that you can get Outbreak perfected. They've already brought that gun back, so the exotic is already missing from that raid, which means we're going to get a new exotic, which is exciting.
Nice.
Man, we've talked a lot about Destiny on this episode.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
But I've been really enjoying my time with Destiny. This is the most fun I've had with Destiny since the Witch Queen launched, and probably Season of the Risen, which was that first season of the Witch Queen, and then Season of the Haunted was kind of bad. The story was okay. The events were bad. And then Season of Plunder is where a lot of people fell off, which was the pirate theme season. I really liked that season, but and then everybody really liked Season of the Seraph, which was the last season during the Witch Queen, and I didn't really care for it. The story was cool though, because I like when the Bray sisters are involved in the story. They're kind of like some of my favorite characters in Destiny lore, especially because Elsie is a timeline jumper, and it's really fascinating to see Elsie show up and kind of hear about what she's experienced in other timelines and how this one needs to be the one that continues. I have a whole lore book down here. Not the last one, but the second to last one is dedicated. Like most of it is dedicated to Elsie's timeline jumping and the different timelines and how certain events played out, and how in multiple timelines she had to kill her sister because she ended up being corrupted by the darkness.
Wow.
It's really fascinating. But Anna lives. Don't worry, everybody. Yes, I know. Fascinating that the Bray twins are named Anna and Elsie, and their whole thing is inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen, which is also what inspired Frozen. So just throwing that out there. And their whole Russian background with dealing with Rasputin and the war mines and the nuclear wastes and the, it's a thing. But yes, the sisters' names are Anna and Elsie instead of Anna and Elsa from Frozen. But
yes,
I digress. That's not why they're my favorite. But I just think Elsie's design is so cool. The Exo Stranger, for those who haven't played past Destiny 1. And her rifle is really cool. Elsie's rifle is cool. So anyways, I've been playing that. I've also been playing a lot of Tetris Effect Connected before bed, because I'm obsessed and I refuse to start new games for some reason or play games I haven't played before. I just keep falling back to that. Guess what? Tetris is still good 40 something years later.
Yes.
Throw that out there. Tetris still good. Music great. Game's good. Although I wish there was a vertical mode, but that's just me. Because when you that screen, man, it's so small, and like, yes, you can zoom it in, but like it's still like, I don't know. I wish there was a vertical mode. And I also played a little bit of Super Mario Brothers Wonder, because my kids are starting to become obsessed with Mario and Luigi and Princess Peach, and my son's favorite Nintendo character is Bowser, and so we've been playing that.
Wow.
My son likes Luigi and Bowser, so. Also, my daughter keeps asking me when we're going to play the Disney game, which it's not Disney Dreamlight Valley, it's it's Kingdom Hearts. And I think she might be at the right age to experience Kingdom Hearts. So I think that would be a fun game to play with her watching me, because she's gonna be 6 in like 2 weeks. She doesn't have the mental capacity to play that game, right? But
you doing it on Xbox?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I own them there. I'm not gonna play the cloud versions on Switch.
I do that.
But
you and I wouldn't recommend that.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. There's something about Super Mario Brothers Wonder that it's not clicking with me, and I don't understand what it is. I want to love it,
Mhm.
and like I like it, but I don't love it, and I don't know what it is. So I also went back to Mario 3D World and just realized that my 3D World skills are just gone.
Tanked.
I need to figure it out. Also, I've been trying to play through the whole game as Mario because I'm OCD about all the flags being the same. But I also my Riley made me play as Princess Peach the one time, and I realized I probably could have finished this game 3 times by now if I would have just played as Peach because
Because of
she
the
can
floating
float.
ability.
Yeah, uh, but I refuse to give in. um, man, Mario 3D World, man. I wish we would get a sequel to that game. Maybe next gen we'll get a sequel to that. But I really want to play Bowser's Fury, and I
Mhm.
refuse to play Bowser's Fury until I finish Mario 3D World. So uh, I suck. I know. Anyways, that's all. That's all I've been playing. I stared at the Xenoblade Chronicles launch screen for about 5 minutes the other day,
Wow.
but
Just gonna press start.
I was like, I need to finish some Destiny stuff because of certain things, and I also having just an hour to start Xenoblade is not enough time. I need like at least a 2 hour time block to sit there and play to get through some of the stuff. And so also, did you know there's 419 side quests in Xenoblade Chronicles 1?
I could
Uh,
believe it because there's a lot of quests in
yeah.
3,
Yeah.
and
I
I
looked it up.
still got more to do.
I looked it up because I was curious. Um, there's about half of that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think. But man, I really want to play Xenoblade. We're gonna
Yes.
talk more about Xenoblade later in our somewhere. I think the post show somewhere.
Yes.
Anyways, let's I don't know.
Well, Corey, it's time for FamiNews.
It
Had to give
is
it a
time.
little.
It is time for FamiNews. I'm
Had to
marking this
had to
timestamp here.
had to give it some spice.
Yeah. Man. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about, but it's all stuff we've kind of already talked about. So I don't know how long we're going to spend on each story, but I want to at least hit the big ones again because we did do a lot of content around the Nintendo Direct, whether it's the Nintendo Direct recap show, which you should go listen to. David Lasby joined us on that. That was fun. And we did the kind of summer showcase overview on the last episode that we posted.
Yes.
And so this is just kind of hitting the big ones in case anybody missed any of that. So our first story comes. Also, the other thing I need to acknowledge before we get into this story, we sent out a survey to our listeners a couple weeks ago, and one of the biggest pieces of feedback from the listeners was that we don't incorporate stuff from our website bossrush.net enough into any of our shows, which is a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, we are going to do our best to incorporate that, whether it's a topic of the show, whether it's a news story, that kind of thing. So we're going to do better by that as well, because it makes sense, right? We have a website. We should probably use it on the shows. Uh,
Yes.
and then there will be timestamps moving forward as well. I know I promised that a long time ago. I'm actually keeping time right now throughout the doc. So when I edit it tomorrow, I can make those timestamps.
Yay.
So yeah, I'm yeah. So our first story, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is slated for 2025. This comes from one of our copy editors, James. Wrote the story on bossers.net. You can go look at it right now. Metroid Prime 4 was finally re-revealed as Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and is set to release sometime in 2025. And there's a lot of questions about this game, whether it was running on Switch or Switch 2. And Digital Foundry did some analysis. They were sent, either sent or they had a copy of the trailer in full.
Yeah.
So the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is running on current Nintendo Switch hardware. It
Mm-hmm.
is running at 60 frames a second. It is running at 900p, which is why we're getting that the extra frames out of it, because
Yeah.
it doesn't have to produce the 4K assets. It's not using a lot of, it's not using a lot more power to produce the graphics because the power's not there, which in turn is enabling it to do the 60 frames a second, which is awesome. I'm shocked that this is running on Switch. I cannot believe that this is running on Switch. That game looks so good.
Yeah.
It's clearly the best looking game on the Nintendo Switch. In my opinion, like depending on what kind of art style you are looking for and whatever, like yes, Zelda's a great looking game. Mario Wonder's a great looking game. This by far is probably the best looking game on the Switch. If you're looking at the way, certain Xbox games look, certain PlayStation games look, like if you're just looking for that fidelity and that attention to detail and that kind of mechanically sound shooter. I mean, we talked about it on the last episode. This looks a lot like Halo 4. This reminds me a
Yes.
lot of Halo 4 running on the Xbox 360, which is like, I can't believe this is running like this. And that was only running at 30 frames a second. I can't believe how good this game looks, Ed.
Yeah, it's very detailed. They built this game from the ground up. Um, just by the way that it looks and some of the things that they changed, and everything. And I was talking to you, Corey and David, and I said I think this what they show is kind of like the first part of the game before you get into the like really detailed meats of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to understand that, I'm like, okay, don't forget everybody, they had to restart this game. Retro had to move to a new building that Nintendo brought for them. They had to hire all of these people, and they got people from different Call of Duty, Battlefield, some of the people who used to be at do Halo stuff. They got a lot of people, and so when you're seeing this game and everything, even though it's kind of dark for what they're going for, like
Mm-hmm.
they built this game up from the bottom. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even speaking about engines or anything like that. It's just that 7 years to produce quality like this and making sure that it's not looking like a GameCube game or a Wii
Mm-hmm.
game, they really went in and really made this world feel detailed, and
Yeah.
stuff. And just like even when they got to the 2025 and you were seeing that that's still in game graphics, and we'll probably see more once they reveal more to it. It was
Yeah.
just like it was so eye piping for a game running at 60. Once that laser hit that gun cannon and you see that big explosion, you'll be like, wait a minute, is this a cut? No, this is actual gameplay. This is not a cutscene.
Yeah. I mean, so it's funny because I actually went back to Metroid Prime Remastered and was looking at that compared to a YouTube trailer for 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know how good Metroid Prime Remastered looks, and that looks
Oh
better.
yeah.
That looks, I mean, Metroid Prime 4 looks better. I mean, obviously, they're different types of game, and they're different games, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed with Metroid Prime 4. I am really hoping we get 2 and 3 on the Switch at some point this year, which I still am of the mind that we will, uh, because there aren't any games announced for December.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those could be Game Award shadow drop games, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I was gonna say whatever the next direct is, they could shadow drop them, but you have so much going on in September and October already. And what's coming out in November? Something's coming out in November, right? Mario
Mario
Luigi's
and
coming out in the week.
Luigi's
Yeah.
Mario
And
Luigi's Brothership is coming out, and then
yeah.
Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D
Yeah.
remake is coming out.
Yeah, and obviously Nintendo's pretty heavily invested in pushing Dragon Quest on their console, even though it's coming out for PlayStation as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
uh my guess is that Keeley needs something for the Game Awards to cause a spark, and this Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remastered are big enough for Keeley to show and would cause enough excitement for, the core gamer to be excited for, but they're not so big that it would like, because Nintendo doesn't really like to be there now. And so like, it wouldn't really mess with their strategy either, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Whatever they could either do it at the Game Awards or at their whatever direct they decide to have in December, right? So I think that those games are going to be shadow dropped at the next, sometime in the near future. But it would be a shame to have 1 and 4 on the Switch and not 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I'm looking like I've been looking at the first party lineup of, at least the GameCube and Wii recently. Uh Mostly because I'm trying to collect some of this stuff, but also like trying to see which games Nintendo could theoretically port over to the Switch and switch to, or be that those in between games that like I said, the Game Boy Color games that could run on Game Boy and Game Boy Color, that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit they could move over theoretically, and they haven't yet. Uh, so I would expect a lot of. There's still a lot of games they could fill gaps with, right? If they have a lull.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? Even you look at clearly 3DS and DS games are also possible, right? Because we're getting Luigi's Mansion next week, and we've gotten all the
Right.
Ace Attorney games, and I mean, that slate is wide open too. So that's all I'm saying. Be prepared for a lot of remakes and remasters from Nintendo, everybody, over the course of the next decade. Uh,
Yes.
and then when they come out with a new console, you know, Wii U games will be ripe for a remake, I guess. Breath of the Wild remake. Um,
Oh goodness, do we need it?
no, but would you buy it?
Here's $70, Dinty. Here's a bill of
70
points.
in 10 years, it's probably going to be 80 or 85 by then, which still worth it.
Right.
Yeah. uh, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on Metroid Prime 4? I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it.
I didn't finish 3, but I probably could play 4 without finishing 3 if they never put it out.
So I just need to go through 2. I got to the last boss in 2 in Echoes, and I just never beat it. But like I finished 3 and I finished 1.
Yeah.
So
I also wonder if they are thinking about dropping Hunters at some point onto the Switch, because Silex is so tied to that game.
we're
Right?
thinking next year.
I wonder. I mean, it would be nice if they just put out a trilogy set of Hunters 2 and 3 in a box set, the way that they put out Pikmin 1 and 2, but that's a lot of wishful thinking, Ed.
Yes.
My thought is I think they're just going to release all of them for $40 like they did Metroid Prime.
The Prime Collection. You get Metro Prime 1 Remaster, 2, 3, Federation Force, and Hunters.
Man, Federation Force. I saw a tweet the other day. Oh, Metroid Prime Hunters actually, or Metroid Prime Federation Force. It's actually kind of good. I'm like, yeah, I said that when it came out 7 years ago. Where have you been? Oh man, I hate people sometimes, man. They just complain just to complain. Oh man. Anyways, we're gonna move on to our next story, Ed. Our next story is from our very own Stephanie Klimov. A new Zelda game has been announced during this past Nintendo Direct, and it gave gamers a bit of a shock. Not only is the new game returning to the Link's Awakening remake art style, but it will be the first mainline game where you actually can play as Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom.
Yes.
You can check that article out by Stephanie if you want to know more about what she has to say about the game. I said this on one of the shows, the 75 shows we recorded last week on our week off of recording, by the way. Thanks, Nintendo. That I thought this was going to be a remake of the first game. The way it opened up, right? And
Yeah.
like it opens up with like Pig Ganon from, whatever, and Zelda's in the crystal. I thought this was a remake of the first game, and then Link falls through the portal, and then you end up realizing it's a Zelda game. And I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. I think what they're doing is kind of interesting. What do you think?
I cannot wait to see the comedy come out this game because I know people are just gonna be doing clips like crazy. Problem is that because you can't do none of that stuff on Twitter anymore, I wonder if we'll see like Nintendo shorts and stuff of people who gonna be streaming the game or stuff for it. Like I think this game is gonna have charm and comedy and be a good puzzle game for people. So I'm definitely excited, and like the game looks gorgeous. Um, just the way that for that pullback, I like the little part that before they get into the demo, that the two soldiers come and they see like Zelda, and they bow down to her, and then all three of them walk off, and it looks like the game's gonna start. Like that was that little miniature detail was really cool, and a lot of people haven't picked up on that. And I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be very entertaining. It's definitely gonna be a game that people are gonna take on the go to play.
Yeah. I I think what they're doing, like implementing uh some of the Breath of the Wild kind of Tears of the Kingdom, solve these puzzles how you want to by duplicating these items, like seems really interesting. I think it's kind of fascinating how they are going to tackle this,
Mm.
because duplicating assets isn't really the big deal. That's actually probably saving a lot of memory for them, right? But it it does it's here. Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit. I'm gonna actually ask Seamus the Kilted Gamer's question here because it's about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I moved it up in the doc.
Okay.
Seamus asks, in light of Zelda's Echo abilities in the upcoming game of Echoes of Wisdom, will there be traditional dungeon items in the dungeons?
Yes.
So I think there will be. Well, I don't think there'll be traditional items. I think there will be items that will you will need specifically to duplicate to solve puzzles within
Mm-hmm.
some of the dungeons, right? And so that's what I think. I don't think you're going to go in there and find a hook shot and then use the hook shot to solve the dungeon, right? I think
No.
there are going to be specific items in there that you will use mainly to solve the dungeon, although there will probably be several other ways you can solve those issues without ever getting those items, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's gonna allow Try to expand the that staff that Zelda holds.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because
So
she's
that's,
still because it's gonna look like she's still gonna have parts of the land that she's gonna have to run away from the darkness.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So that's my opinion. I think the duplicating of items is interesting. I wonder if Zelda's going to have any attack abilities on her own. It doesn't
no.
really look like it, which
Mm.
is kind of disheartening, but that's a conversation for other people to have, I guess. I think I can't wait because I love this art style. I love Link's Awakening. You
Yes.
know, that game means a lot to me, even though I've never beaten it. But uh, that game just means a lot to me in a lot of different ways. So uh, I gotta finish Link's Awakening on the Switch. I gotta finish it.
Yes.
I have to finish it now. I have to finish it before September. So that is The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, coming September 26th. Almost 5 years to the day, Ed, of Link's Awakening remake. So
I know, it's crazy.
that's so cool. Man, Link's Awakening is so good. It's so good. Anyways, on to the next
Yes.
story here, Edward Varnell. This one comes from Block on bossrush.net. You can check out the article there to see what he has to say about it. But after 9 years since the last new entry, the Mario and Luigi series has returned and is coming to the home console for the first time. Mario and Luigi Brothership is coming November 7th. Looks pretty good. I'm into it. I'm sure 99% of the people that are playing this will play it in handheld mode, but you can technically play this on your TV, and it's the first time you can do that. So
I think some people are agreeing with you, Corey, about the art style for this game.
that it looks
Uh,
kind of weird.
yeah, but I love this art style. I'm definitely looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
I wonder if Treehouse is going to have any involvement with it because I'm
They're
like,
probably translating it, right? I mean, they have their
yeah,
whole in-house translation team is there, right? So here's the thing. I theoretically, yes, I like the art style, right? I like that style of art style.
hmm
I wish they would have gone more the Wind Waker route instead of the comic booky Smash Brothers 3DS route with the cell
yeah.
shading, because it just makes it look unpolished. But that's just my opinion. It's not like,
It
you know.
and I know they was trying to go for the Mario Luigi box cover set style because I'm like
Yeah, but at
the
that point, I
box.
wish it would have just been a hand drawn game, you know,
Mm,
and because that art style on the box is the best art style I think for Mario and Luigi on, especially for spin-off games.
yeah,
Uh, but you know, can't win them all. I am really excited for this game though. I don't want that. I'm not going to let a small gripe about the art style ruin my excitement for the game, because at the end of the day, I love the Mario and Luigi series. It's one of my
same.
favorites, and I started playing it with Bowser's Inside Story, and then I went back and played the other ones. And I really enjoy these games. I think they're great. I think if you enjoy, especially if you played Thousand Year Door recently and you like those styles of RPGs,
Yes.
this is what those games are to a T. Is the ongoing Mario RPG series, right?
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. I don't have much more to say on this that I haven't said already. I'm just very excited. But Brothership is a cool name too. Let me mark this down. Marking timestamps here. Okay. Our next story comes from, oh, look at that, bossrush.net, from our friend and was on the show a couple weeks ago. Josh Martinez wrote an article
Yes.
about Dragon Quest 3 2D HD. You can go check that out too. Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake is coming to the Switch, and Square Enix also announced the 1 and 2 remake coming in 2025. 2025 is shaping up to be a monster year for the Switch again, Ed. Clearly, obviously led by Metroid, but also, I mean, you got this, you got Donkey Kong, you got, a couple other games that we can talk about later. Like, it's 2025 is already like a monster year for Switch.
Mm-hmm.
What a year, because of the new console coming out too. Like, what do you it's nuts. So what do you, I mean? I think Dragon Quest 3 looks incredible. I love the 2D, 3D, the 2D HD art style. I think some games are better than others that use it,
Yeah.
but this looks like they are finally kind of like perfecting it. And I think a lot of people kind of circled Octopath Traveler 2 as that kind of perfected style. But I didn't play that. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, this looks good. And I've never played I've only played 8 and 11.
I
So,
love 8.
uh,
11 is good, but I love 8. 8 is the only Dragon Quest game that I've beaten.
I,
Um,
I only played it because it came with the Final Fantasy X demo.
yep, same.
So, you know, uh,
Which,
that was my Zone of the Enders moment where people bought Zone of
which
the Enders
I,
for the Metal
which,
Gear demo.
which I wonder if that's a game that Nintendo like, because Nintendo published Dragon Quest 9, and it's only on 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder will they be bringing that back? I wonder will they be bringing some of the Dragon Quest games back?
Well, they didn't they put a bunch of them on the 3DS. 7 and 8 are on the 3DS and 9,
Yeah,
right? And
but I wonder if
then
they
four,
put them
five,
on
and 6 are
Switch.
on the DS, right? 4, 5, and 6 are on the DS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like 9 is a Nintendo exclusive. Like you only can play it on that console. You can't play it anywhere else. So I
yeah.
wonder if they will bring that back to Switch.
Well, I mean, parts of 11 were exclusive to Nintendo platforms until recently, right? I mean, the special edition and then the Pixel version is exclusive, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
which is still strange to me that that exists, but the fact that they made the entire game again in a 2D space,
Right.
uh, man. But this game looks cool. I can't wait to check it out. I will. This comes out in November, right? Right after Mario and Luigi.
Yep.
I think it comes out on what, the 22nd or
The
26th or something.
16th.
The 16th. I knew there was
Yeah.
a 6 in there. So I'm excited. Can't wait. I'm my wallet is crying because Switch is putting out too many
Actually,
games.
November 14th. It's coming out
November
that
14th.
Friday.
Okay, so it's coming out a
Yes.
week after Mario and Luigi. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Well, my wallet is crying, and it's not going to stop there. It's going to continue with this game that I've been excited for a while, and I refuse to play it on my phone. This article is the source is a Game Informer article. You can check that out from Brian Shea over at Game Informer. Final Fantasy series creator and Mistwalker Studios founder Hironobu Sakaguchi, his Apple Arcade exclusive RPG is finally making its way to consoles in the form of Fantasian Neo Dimension. Switch players will finally get to experience this unique RPG. By the way, Sakaguchi's still there. Somebody told me that he
Yep.
left. I looked it up. Still there. Still there. Mistwalker is known for its Xbox 360 exclusive games Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, and its Wii exclusive The Last Story, as well as its mobile offerings in Japan. I totally see why this should be played on phones or a touchscreen at least, but I don't care. The game looks incredible. So as interested as I have been in Fantasian in the past, Ed, I've only seen it from the top down, right?
Mm-hmm.
The top down perspective that they present it as. And I thought when they started showing the cutscenes that it was The Last Story, story HD,
Right.
because the protagonist has that short, kind of messy white hair
Yeah.
and kind of dressed similarly to the main character in Lost Odyssey or in Last Story. And I thought, oh man, is this really happening? But then I realized it was Fantasian. I'm like, this is even better. So I'm excited for Fantasian. This entire game, so for those who don't know, the entire world is a diorama built in their office. Well, most of it anyway, and it was scanned into their engine. So like the entire world is like a real set that they built, and it's
Yes.
so cool to see that, right? Like the overworld. I think obviously the inside of buildings and some of the towns and some of the other parts are crafted in the engine, but the overworld is a diorama in their office, and it's so cool to see that. I don't know if you have anything else to say about this, Ed. And
No, I
Fantasian,
just can't.
can't
I
wait.
can't wait to play, and I can't wait to hear the soundtrack.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be really good. I really hope people check this out because Miss Walker deserves some love.
Yes.
Our next story, Ed, also comes from Game Informer. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is coming to Nintendo Switch in January, kicking off the new year with one of DK's best platformers. This is from Matt Miller over at Game Informer. I love Donkey Kong Country Returns. It is the best Donkey Kong 2D game, in my opinion. Oh, I guess Donkey Kong 64 isn't very good anyway. But sorry, everybody who likes that game. It's fine. It's okay. It's just really
A
tedious.
lot of collect the Don stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really tedious to have to switch between the Kongs, and there's like 8,000 collectibles, and it's okay. But this is by far in my opinion, the best Donkey Kong game. I really like Tropical Freeze too, but I still think Returns is better in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think because it's simpler than Tropical Freeze, like there's less mechanics and obviously less characters to kind of do things. I think sometimes simpler is better, and so Donkey Kong Country Returns is my favorite.
I'm excited to play this one.
Have you never played it?
I played it on Wii. I still own
Oh,
it on Wii,
okay.
but
It was
I'm
one of the
excited
few
to play
Wii
the
games.
game.
It was one of the few Wii games that I actually enjoyed playing.
Yep. Challenging, but yet beautiful.
Yep. All right. Our next story also comes from bossrush.net. Shocker. Told you. I'm implementing these articles. So if you want to appear on the show, guess we better start writing some news. A new Mario Party game has been announced, seemingly a follow-up to the rebranded Super Mario Party series instead of just Mario Party. Mario Party Jamboree. It's complete with a 20-player online mode, new mini games, and a few more modes. I'm not like excited for Mario Party, but it's a first-party Nintendo title, so I will probably check it out. I don't know. I don't know if you have anything else to say about this, Ed. It's interesting. It's Mario Party.
Nah, it's Mario Party.
Okay, moving on. Our next story comes from Block from bossrush.net. Wrote an article about the NSO titles that are coming, actually that are out right now that you can play. Nintendo Switch Online adds 2 great GBA games and 2 prominent first-person shooters to its Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack offerings. I'm sorry. The GBA games are The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past 4 Swords and Metroid Zero Mission. Oh man, Zero Mission is very good, everybody.
Yes, it
Everybody should play
is.
Zero Mission. The shooters are the rare first-person shooter Perfect Dark, which Microsoft now owns and actually just announced their reboot of the series at the Xbox. Well, re-announced, I guess, at the Xbox showcase, which looks like an interesting direction for the series. And Acclaim's Turok Dinosaur Hunter, which is also an interesting add to the NSO package, Ed,
Yes.
because Atari and Night Dive have remastered all 3 of the numbered games, which you can buy in a bundle for $60.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always shocked when a version of the game shows up on NSO that is already available somewhere else, which is why we don't see Castlevania and Mega Man on the NES NSO, right? Because they're available in the
Yes.
collections, and Capcom and Konami clearly want money from those. Even though those are essential NES games, right? Like it shocks me that Turok showed up here because Night Dive just redid them. Also, the other thing is Disney owns Turok. Did you know that?
No, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah, Disney owns Turok because it was Turok is a comic book series that was published by a subsidiary of Marvel,
Yeah.
and Disney owns Marvel. So Disney owns Turok. Remember the 360 PS3 reboot of Turok?
Yes.
Man, I really liked that game.
Yeah, it got good rating. I mean, it got average reviews. They said it was good. It wasn't too bad. And they had
I
a nice cover.
yeah, I I'm actually kind of shocked there hasn't been like a new attempt at Turok, except for the simple fact that it's a first person shooter that would probably cost a lot of money to make, and budgets are so high that who would actually probably make an awesome Turok game would be id.
That would be interesting.
Not to get off on a side tangent here, but id making
It
Turok in the id Tech engine, the new one that Doom the Dark Ages is running on.
that would be insane.
That would get some attention, and instead of fighting giant demons, you would be fighting these giant dinosaurs. I'm just
Yes.
saying. Somebody work it out. Atari, talk to id. Be like, hey, Turok somehow
It could
has
work.
returned.
Yes.
Give us some Turok. No, Disney, I don't care. John Drake, I know you're in charge of Disney games somewhere out there. Release the Turok. I don't know where we're going. Okay, get me out of this conversation. I do think that would be an awesome thing. And I think
I'm here for it.
I do want to say I think it's a little ridiculous that there's a separate M-rated
App.
app for this, but whatever.
But I think it's just so that kids wouldn't jump onto it and
I know.
be hitting it.
I know, because you can't download it if your parental settings are below like the open one or whatever. Like if you're managing a kid's sub account that's teen or teen and under, like you can't do that. So although it does confuse me that GoldenEye is T for teen and you're shooting people and there's blood everywhere, but Perfect Dark and Turok you're shooting aliens and dinosaurs and those are rated M for mature. I'm just throwing it out there. It's weird. Shooting people, okay, I guess, in Nintendo's eyes. Dinosaurs, no. I'm just kidding. It's N64. None of it's real. Right. All right, let's move on, and let's move on to this next story because I'm very excited to talk about it because this looks gorgeous, to use an Edward. This story is from Nintendo Life, from what was it called? The Smile Fest 2024. So that's like Figma and Good Smile, those figures, those collectible figures, posable figures that you can get. There's a bunch of Zelda ones already. There's Xenoblade and Metroid and Kingdom Hearts. There's all kinds of cool posable figures that you can get. The Link one comes out in July from Tears of the Kingdom. It's $70, or there's a deluxe version that comes with the glider and other weapons and the bow and everything for like $115. These are kind of highly collectible figures. Anyways, at Smile Fest, they revealed the prototype for Tears of the Kingdom Zelda. And I think the gray one looks cool. The prototype looks cool. But this is going to be painted and obviously colored and everything. But this is a beautiful figure.
The prototype one, just that gray stone look to it, it looks like it's telling a story itself. Like Hyrule froze and turned to stone. Now Link is on a quest to get everything back to normal. Like it feels like that and everything. I'm just like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, it's so funny that they announced this because I was actually looking at the Twilight Princess version of Zelda like
Uh-huh.
a week ago on eBay, uh, because Twilight Princess, obviously my favorite Zelda game, but uh, I need this. I need it. And then I went online and looked at the Link one today too, and I'm like, if I'm getting Zelda, I might as well get Link too.
Of course.
There's also not in this story that I brought up, but they also showed the Ganon one from Tears of
Hmm.
the Kingdom. Um, he's pretty shirtless, which is strange. So I'm sure we're gonna have a whole nother round of thirsty, weird Ganon. I don't know, daddy issue things going on here.
Zaddy Door.
Yeah. So they also showed off Baldorb from Pikmin, which is cute in of itself because it comes with little Pikmin that are running away from it, which is
Oh.
cute. Uh, they showed off Chef Kirby and a Waddle Dee, and then they showed off new versions of Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog. So those are all coming at some point in the near future. I need the Zelda one though. I don't care what I have to do. I'll sell a kidney for it. I don't care. It's awesome.
No.
I I I love it. I need it. Just saying. I guess we'll move on to the next story because you're not saying anything about it because you're clearly not as obsessed with this statue as I am. So
It's just a prototype. I can't wait to see the full
I know.
the
I'm just messing
full
with you. I'm just messing. You know what? You know what else was announced this week that I know a lot of people are excited for? There were a ton of limited run games announcements. There were over 20 physical game announcements this week, including Fear Effect, Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary, the Gex trilogy, Tomba 1 and 2 are coming soon. There is also an announcement of the complete Wolfenstein 2 experience on one cart, which was like a big complaint when Wolfenstein 2 came out the first time, was you had to download like half the game, even though it came with a cart. And so, yeah, and I think it's coming with the DLC also, which was not previously released on
Yeah.
Switch. So the complete experience is on one cart, which is crazy to think about. I don't know. Were
And
there any standouts for you?
to actually tell you the truth, I did not watch it or anything
Mm,
because the way that I limited run, it's cool and stuff, but like I just didn't watch it.
yeah,
Like I was
I
just like I rather just get a whole list of what games were shown and call it a day.
yeah, I wasn't originally gonna include this story because of the way I feel about limited run games, but I know that a lot of people don't feel the same way that I do about limited run games. So also like, you know, we invited Stephanie onto the show tonight. She had a lot of things going on today, and she went to a baseball game and it got rained out, and so she got home late and wasn't able to make it tonight. But also, I
Yeah.
included that here because she is obsessed with a lot of the limited run stuff. So I
Hmm.
wanted to hear her geek out about it, but then I was like, well, we'll just leave it in here. Um, Stephanie, we miss you.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to get any of this. So I bought some limited run games at PAX when we went,
Same. Yeah.
and I looked at them, and I felt dirty by buying them.
I
so I
didn't.
turned around. So I turned around and sold them, and I doubled my money. So that's fine.
Oh.
Yep. I mean,
Wow.
all those games were $39.99 and $34.99 a piece. I paid for them,
Mm.
and uh, I sold Persona 3 for $80. Knights of the Old Republic, which I don't know. That was the one I was conflicted about because I love that. I love those games.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, man, I would love to have physical versions of these on Switch, but they're from limited run. And so I don't, so I bought the first one out of like, I don't know. I bought the first one And I was like, I don't want to own something that says limited run on it, so I sold it, and I ended up selling it for like $65. And then River City Girls 2, I ended up selling for 50.
Oh wow.
So I ended up
River
making
City
like,
Girls too is good.
yeah, I know I have it digitally, but I just, I don't know. I have a lot of negative feelings towards limited run, and we'll leave it at that. I've
I
said
will
enough.
say
I've said too much.
I will say that I will get Tumba 2. Hopefully they make it just a digital version of it. Because I never got to play Tumba 2. So
Yeah, but the thing is like limited run is publishing digital games now too, which is like, what's the point?
right, yeah, for that
maybe
I
maybe
just
they'll
like,
use that money to fund their actually getting their games out.
and that's something we will talk about another day because I 100% agree with you.
Man, the fact that it's taking over like 1 or 2 years for people to get their pre-orders is that's ridiculous.
Insane.
That's ridiculous. Sorry, I've said too much. I've said too much. We're gonna move on.
Yes.
We're gonna move on. I don't want to talk about it. Our just our kind of wrap up here. Other notable games during the direct. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about it. Anything, Ed? The Ace Attorney Investigations collection,
Super excited for that.
Marvel vs. Capcom collection, which we kind of talked about how they finally said they're making physical editions of those. So I need to get that
Got my
because
pre-order in.
X-Men vs. Street Fighter is an amazing game that is never
Mm-hmm.
available anywhere ever. Nintendo Switch Sports is getting their basketball update, which Mary Helen wrote an article on that on bossrush.net. You can read more about that there. And then Disney Illusion Island is getting that free investigation mission update, which seems interesting, but also very late.
Yes.
So, Ed,
Yes.
we are going to get into this topic of the show, which is that segment kind of in between where we didn't really know what to do with it. So we kind of talked about other things, other consoles at one point, and retro games at some point, and rumors at some point, which rumor mill will continue in this spot in some capacity later down the road.
Yes.
But I wanted to kick off this kind of retooling, I guess, of what we're offering with a Boss Rush banter that was written by friend of show Shane Kelly. You can go read it on bossrush.net right now. What are your thoughts on new games not having a physical release? So this banter, not really a Nintendo Switch related thing, although there are a lot of codes in a box
Yeah.
third party experiences on the Switch, which is a little bit ridiculous, but there have been a lot of games come out, prominent games that have not gotten physical releases, and some of those have turned around and gotten physical releases through limited run, right? But
Yes.
basically games I'm looking at right now are like Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Alan Wake 2, Hellblade 2. You know, they don't have physical editions, mainstream physical editions, I'll call them, because obviously some of them got limited run releases, and Redfall ended up getting that second release later where the disc was actually in the box. But Hellblade still has no physical edition. I do expect a limited run release of that, and that's going to kill me because that's the one that I would cave and keep. But I'm going to hold down the fort. Maybe I'll buy it secondhand so I don't have to give limited run my money directly. I'm of two thoughts of this, and I know you're very different from me on this. My thought is the way that games are, not necessarily Nintendo games specifically, but like games on other platforms and third-party games, the way they're distributed and patched and changed And, you know, all these things, it's like the game on the disc is not even the game that you're playing, right? And I mean, the shining example to there, well, there's a couple right now. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the game on the disc, the last mission and the ending of that game is entirely different on the disc than when you play it patched. It's a totally different boss fight. It's a totally different ending. It's a totally different experience. Once you put that patch in, it changed everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at a game like Cyberpunk. How many patches and how many years did it take to fix that game? You really
Shoot,
want to
what,
own that game
4?
physically, right? And I know there's like resale value attached to these games, attached to physical editions, and you know, it's cool to have these boxes on the shelf, which I agree. I like showing off a huge game collection, which is why I'm trying to build up, you know, especially like retro games, I guess now, like with PS2 and GameCube and Nintendo, you know, last couple generations of Nintendo stuff specifically too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially all those GameCube games I lost. I just can't get over that right now. But I I honestly like really don't see a point in getting games on current hardware physically, uh, simply because they change. They just change too much from disc press to uh, you know to release to patches and everything. I know people are gonna, especially for licensed games and stuff, people are gonna say, well, what about games that get delisted or games that get, you know, I don't know, get changed, or you know, like Destiny. I have 3 physical versions of Destiny. Those discs are worthless. They're worthless.
Yeah,
Like,
now they are.
I mean, they're worthless. You put it in, it essentially, you put the disc in now, it essentially takes you to the Destiny store page, right? And tells you to download this package, and it's just the free to play version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, like, you don't even use the disc. The disc it's a long form way of taking you to the store page.
It's a
um
coaster now.
and so, and I know you feel differently about this in a few ways. um it's just it just and I don't want to feel this way about physical games. I like physical games. It's just, to me, like, it's it sucks that this is what it's come to, and that companies feel like they can put games out unfinished, or they can, you know, put the discs to press and then they can finish the game while the discs are being pressed and shipped out to retailers. It just really, it sucks to think that way. And Nintendo is like the one company that, you know, has, they've delayed games by weeks just so they can polish the game, or months. You know, Zelda is a clear example of a game that they were just polishing for 5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because even though that game's gotten patched 2 or 3 times, Tears of the Kingdom, specifically for the item duplication glitch, which, uh, you know, was really easy to replicate. Um, that game is entirely playable front to back without patches. You know, Mario Odyssey, front to back without patches. Sure, there's a few stability patches. There's a few things that they added, like costumes and stuff. But like, at the end of the day, 99% of Nintendo's games have been playable front to back, you know, without patches. And that's a credit to their dedication to quality that other companies just seemingly don't have, you know, including Microsoft and Sony in a lot of cases. I mean, how big was that? How big was that God of War patch, right? Like the Ragnarok patch was like, I don't know. When I started that game, I didn't, when did I play that? I don't know. There was like 2 or 3 patches after I started playing it, and they were like gigs worth of data, right? And I know that game's in like 4K, and that game is much bigger than a game like Zelda in terms of how you store it and where you store it and how much is there. But like, still, man, the Horizon patch, man, you know, I mean, look at the patches that Destiny puts out. Look at the Call of Duty patches. Look at the Call of Duty download size. That's a game too, right? Where the only thing that's on the disc for Call of Duty is the license for the game, right? And you still have to download the entire game. So what's the point? You know? And then you have companies like Microsoft who has Game Pass and like is actively training their customers not to purchase physical games, right? Um I mean they're supposedly now training their customers not to even buy their consoles, but that's a conversation for a different day. Uh, top selling games on PlayStation, by the way, top 10 last month, 7 of them were Microsoft published games. So,
Wow.
if you include Minecraft and stuff like that, so 7, 6, 6, 7, 7, because Diablo was in there, technically Microsoft owned. Anyways, I don't know. Ed, help me out here.
So, um, I think the reason why a lot of companies, mostly maybe Microsoft and Sony, definitely Microsoft at this time, is not doing a lot of physicals for their new game is the retail space. The retail space for Microsoft is becoming non-existent. If you go to Best Buy, you go to Target, they
Mm-hmm.
have reduced that space.
Yep.
And I think it's because those games are not selling physically on Xbox. They may sell physically on PlayStation, but that's even a given. You
Yep.
know, Microsoft don't have to pay for all of the space. So if they could get more revenue through digital sales and purchases, they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go that route. The
Yep.
retail stores are missing out on money compared to what Microsoft is really making on digital sales, whether it's
Yep.
through Game Pass discounts or whatever. Nintendo, on the other hand, is of course Nintendo is thriving, and you know that's why everybody like pre-orders for at Best Buy has been high. It's because they know that if they want a copy of that game, they're gonna go to them. I don't know if the people are dealing with shenanigans at uh GameStop or anything, or even with Target, but like a lot of people who are pre-ordering games, and I'm not no disrespect to Amazon, they do what they do, but a lot of people who are pre-ordering physical games, definitely Nintendo wise, is going to Best Buy because that's the only way that people can even acquire games now, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. There's not so many get people pre-ordering physical for Xbox and PlayStation. If it is, it's very rare
Yep.
for it. Like even the thing with Nintendo, and I'm using Best Buy as um for this example, is that even though you'll see a lot of games at Nintendo, all of that stuff you have to pick up a card to give to a cashier to even get it, to get the
Mm-hmm.
game. Like they put all of their physical stuff in the back because I don't know, people were stealing or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that new games definitely for Microsoft and Sony, whether it's first or third, they feel like they could get better sales on that game for on their console during their stores. Now, because people know that, and I mentioned this about Nintendo, if you don't get that game on its first run, and later on in life you're trying to get it and they don't sell it, the moment you go second hand, you better have some money ready
Yeah.
for that game.
I mean,
Uh,
speaking of secondhand games, like I've told the story about my GameCube collection on this podcast multiple times, but as I've been trying to weed through the garbage of GameCube stuff, and kind of curate a list of the games that I would like to have back in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Emblem, uh, Radiant Dawn is over $250 if you want a game with a box and the disc, right? If you want a complete in-box version that's like in not even pristine condition, but like good condition, it's going to cost you like $300.
Yeah.
And the Wii version, which is what, Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn. I always get those two mixed up. I always get the titles of those two mixed up. But they're direct sequel. Like, well, the Wii one is a direct sequel to the GameCube one. So like the Wii one is starting to creep up in price now too, because it used to hover around $100, right? And I was like, oh man, that's a pretty decent price for that. I should probably snag that. Then I was like, I'll wait because I want to try to see if I'm going to get rid of stuff, or we're moving, we're going on vacation. I'll just figure it out later. It's starting to creep up in price now again, and I'm like, man, I should have got
Mm-hmm.
that when I had the chance. But I mean, even something like The Last Story, which we talked about earlier with Mistwalker, right?
Yes.
I have the collector's edition, and just the disc, not even a box, just the disc is going for like $75-$80.
That's crazy.
If you just want like the Wii box with it, and like without the collector's edition stuff, it's like $90 to $100. And then if you want the collector's edition, good luck. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Good luck.
And the physical aspect of new games is that Nintendo and the Nintendo says it has it on lock because they know the repercussions that come from it for you not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Microsoft and Sony wants that digital space, it's better for them to go that route because that's more revenue and profit for them than it is for physical games. And people don't realize that, with a lot of physical games for PlayStation and Xbox, a lot of that is not actual, like Corey said, a lot of that data isn't on the disc. It's just another way to help you install the game once you're connected online. Because the thing about it is, if you were able just to put the game and it could download without any online on it, then
Mm-hmm.
you know that you're getting something with the physical game.
Yep.
But it's just like for them, it just makes sense for a lot of people who want to have the game and the physical copy for it. For a lot of people, that's a collector's item on the Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it's a game that's really special, a lot of people going to just be like, okay, third party, you got it on Switch. I'm gonna show my support and get it on Switch because I know that if I don't get it there, you're not gonna be there for their successor system. So I know games that you made that could be on coming to a Nintendo system, it's not gonna get made because we didn't buy that physical version or we didn't buy that game,
Right.
and things like that. So I think, um, I know with Hellblade, uh, uh what else? Doom Eternal, and stuff. It's just like it makes better sense for them to get the game digitally because that's more sale wise is better than it is putting it in stores where they don't even have enough space to even put that game in. Like
Yeah,
watch.
but then you see something like Alan Wake though, right? That didn't have a
Mhm.
physical edition, and like they
Yeah,
announced this thing through limited run. And look, very clearly financially they're fine, right? Like
yeah,
Epic funded the game, whatever, but they still haven't made their money back on Alan Wake
right.
2. Like they still are like at a loss for that game, and which is crazy because that game didn't cost very much for them to make to begin with, uh, compared to other games.
Yes.
Uh, but I mean, Epic funded it with Fortnite money, and also it wasn't available on Steam, so that also has a lot to do with it too. But like, there was no physical box in store. Like, the thing about physical too is like it's kind of free marketing for people who like to go into stores and look around and walk around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Yeah.
as much as as much as people read about stuff online or see what their friends think about it on Facebook or Twitter, or read reviews on IGN or GameSpot or BossRush.net. That was a plug. Shameless plug. Going into a store and picking up the box and looking at the back and reading like the quotes, right, is still something people do, and they still judge their purchases off that, right? Like,
Yeah.
there are still people that do that, and I think especially like the way that we consume games and our community consumes games, I feel like people forget that those people exist, and that's like a majority of people who play games out there. Is like they don't care. Like they'll buy Call of Duty and Madden every year. They'll buy GTA when it comes out because it's the event game, but like they don't buy very many games. PlayStation put out a thing where the average person who owns a PlayStation 5 has only spent $700 on the PlayStation Store since they purchased it, is like the average, right? And that doesn't include the console or accessories or PlayStation Plus, right? So you're telling me that the person that bought, let's say somebody bought it within the first year, the system is what, 3 or 4 years old, and they've spent $700, so that's about 3 copies of Madden and 3 copies of Call of Duty, right? And probably some sort of GTA game that they bought on sale, right? Or GTA, shark cards or Madden cards or whatever, right? Like, there it is. That's your average person, right? And that person might go into a store and buy those games and look at the shelf and be like, "Oh, look, this I like Call of Duty. This shooter looks interesting. What is this? Wolfenstein? That looks neat. Let me purchase that. I like to shoot things,
Right.
And that's a lot of the people out there. And so even though I personally think having physical games, on a technical level doesn't matter, there are still a lot of ways that physical games benefit, the market.
Yeah.
Or gamers to have on their shelves. I mean,
why do you think people are going hard? And I'm bringing up Marvel versus Capcom. Why you think people are going hard of it? It's because Capcom and Marvel, that license was lost. Those games you could not buy. So now that it's a chance for people to buy, that's why everybody was just like, go pre-order your copy, go get this game. Let's show them that we want the series. Yes, it's gonna be available for digital, but if it goes down, no one can play it. You can't buy that game anymore. At least with physical, you are able to pop the game in and still play it. How online will work, who knows? There are some people who don't work for video games who got the technical smarts to make online work and everything.
Yeah.
So it's just like
I mean,
physical.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
Oh no,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so physical new games, definitely for Nintendo is a big factor of why it does work. New physical games for other platforms doesn't work because a lot of people just don't feel like there is value in them when when for them they feel like it's in the comfort of their home just to buy it and download the game than it is getting it in the store. Or if that game is popular and everything, you may not find it in the stores because they may only have 2 or 3 copies.
Yeah.
So in other words, you're going to end up waiting a couple of weeks or days if you order that physical. And if you're a person who be like, well, they don't got it, I'm just going to buy it online. That's the first thing that's going to come to a consumer's mind. To be like, they don't have it at these stores. I might as well just own it fit digitally.
Yeah. Oh, man. Good discussion.
Yeah.
Good discussion. That was a good. Thanks, Shane, for writing that. If you want to read that full Boss Rush banter, it is on bossrush.net. Go to the features tab, and you should be able to find that and all of our Boss Rush banters under that drop down menu. Just go to bossrush.net, and you will find them. Great job, Shane. You can follow Shane on Twitter /X/ whatever it's called these days at Still Sane Shane. So thanks,
Yes.
Shane. Good work. All right, Ed. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting to the end. It is time for Pack Watch. Pack Watch. This is the segment where we highlight the new games coming to Nintendo Switch over the course of the next week. And boy, are there a lot of games coming out this week for some reason. The Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition is coming out. Bringing back the groundbreaking classic adventure with a host of new features. Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition includes updated visuals running at up to 4K resolution and 60 frames a second. Not on Switch. Updated controls and quality of life features, a new in-game treasure hunt and speedrun mode, and a special anniversary gallery. So the Switch version will run at 1080p and will cap out at 60 frames a second. So I would expect it to run at around 40 or 50, somewhere in there.
Yes.
I'm glad people are excited for Beyond Good and Evil. I don't like Beyond Good and Evil. I think if this is a Mirror's Edge situation. This is an Earthbound situation. People say they love it and have never played it, and now when they go to play it, if they purchase it, first of all, they're going to be like, "Oh, this game is not good," or "Oh, never mind."
As long as it don't feel floaty and the last boss, I'm gonna leave it at there.
I know Pat really loves this game, and Pat is exactly the type of person I would expect to purchase this game.
Yeah.
Not in like a bad way. He's just a lover of all video games, and this is one of those games that I would totally expect him to buy.
I think I still got my GameCube version copy.
I had it for GameCube at one point. Also coming out on the 25th is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. Sorry, every time we talk about my GameCube collection, I get really salty. Oh, Ed. An adventurer searching for the legendary banana to find her father, drawing treasure and all things that glitter put a smile on this monkey's face. Her sharp observation skills allow her to see through traps with ease. Our banana-loving protagonist who's always got bananas on his mind. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I pulled this straight from the Nintendo store, so I don't. Whatever. The big one releasing this week on the 27th is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD,
Yes.
which is a great game. I would go so far to say mechanically and just from a premise standpoint, the best Luigi's Mansion. Maybe not my favorite, but it's definitely got the most variety and the most interesting mechanics. The magical dark moon that hangs over Evershade Valley seems to calm the ghosts that live there. But when it suddenly breaks apart, the once friendly ghosts become unruly. Luigi must stumble into action and find his courage to restore the dark moon to its rightful place in the sky. So, it looks great. It doesn't look as good as Luigi's Mansion 3, but this has that look, and this isn't meant to be derogatory, but it's going to sound that way. So sorry, everybody. It has that. Oh, we are remaking a game that is not an HD game. Let's just figure out how to put assets into this game to make it look like an HD game and put it out, which is something Nintendo is very good at. And 99% of the audience will never notice.
Yes.
But when they tend to remake games that aren't already in HD or already like for a console, this is the way that game looks. there was something very recent. It had so I can tell you right now that character model of Luigi is the one that's it's ripped right from Mario Party. It's the Mario Party Luigi model.
Oh wow.
um, what I had, it's the Mario Sports look, like those character models. It's just like all those like spin-off games have that look to them, and that's what it kind of looks like to me. Oh man. By the way, I re-downloaded Paper Mario and the Origami King because I kind of want to play it, but also our book club game is Thousand Year Door, so I should probably play that instead. Also coming to the Switch from Atari, Neo Sprint. Neo Sprint zooms back to life as a single-screen arcade racer for up to 8 players, paired with a robust track builder and intuitive sharing tools, ensuring a racing experience that satisfies speed demons and architects alike. Campaign mode and Grand Prix and obstacle courses and time trials provide tons of pulse-pounding race content, and multiplayer modes make for chaotic fun. Can you conquer the speedways and claim the fastest times? It's Neo Sprint from Atari.
I played that at PAX. It was very fun.
Yeah. Also coming on to Switch on the 27th is a game that we love around here at Boss Rush, Tachia.
Mm-hmm.
It's been out on PlayStation for what, a year already at this point. It's finally coming to Switch. Our friend of show Kim Chica actually, formerly of Kepler Interactive, gave us information and stuff about this game, and I think Stephanie reviewed it. Right? Stephanie reviewed this.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, Stephanie reviewed it, so you can read that review on bossrush.net. Tachia is an action-adventure video game played from a third-person perspective. The player assumes the control of the titular protagonist, who must explore a tropical archipelago to rescue her kidnapped father. It's a beautiful-looking game. It's beautiful. I will probably play it on Switch. I will bite the bullet and buy it on Switch.
Nice.
It's on PlayStation Plus, but I don't want to turn my PlayStation
Hmm.
on. Not that I don't want to play my PlayStation. I don't know. I just would rather play my Switch. Oh, excuse me. It's hitting that time. It's the witching hour.
Yes.
It's not. It's 1:30. It's not 3:00.
Hmm.
On 6/28, we are getting Spy and Anya Operation Memories. Anya Forger has a new assignment from school. Create a photo diary. Let's collect memories by going to school on weekdays while going out to all sorts of exciting places like the beach and the art museum on days off in search of subjects to photograph. So those are the games coming to Switch this week. Obviously, Luigi's Mansion is a big one for me. Tachia is probably the other one I will pick up this week. Ed, are you picking any of these up? I assume you are.
Not at this time. I know Luigi's Mansion I'm gonna get following week when I get paid again. And Beyond Good and Evil I'm gonna wait for. Super Monkey Ball I think I'm gonna wait for. Neo Sprint I'm gonna definitely wait for. And then Tachia I'm probably gonna pick up with Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. Is
On the
Tachia getting a
eShop.
physical for Switch? Do you know?
No, I think it's just eShop. I
Dang.
think it's just the eShop.
All right. Well, that's what's coming to Switch. A lot of good stuff. Very, very exciting time for Switch for sure.
Yes.
Well, Ed, let's get into question block. Remember,
Question block.
you can write into the show. Listeners are encouraged to join the Boss Rush Discord or Patreon on our free tier. You can join our free tier there and look for the question threads there. You can always email us at nintendopalblock@gmail.com. You can also look for our Twitter threads if we remember to put one out. Sometimes I don't, so sorry. Our first question of the night, Ed, comes from Mary Helen via Discord. She writes in and asks, sorry, I'm writing this time code down. I forgot to write it down. She asks, after an extended period of time without new RPGs for a lot of their cornerstone RPGs, we got announcements for 2 this week. Do you all think this is a return to a more original content, or will we fall back on remakes only? Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Ed, I'll let you go first. Do you think Nintendo's going to fall on remake RPGs?
So with Zelda and with Mario and Luigi, I don't think they're gonna fall back on a lot of their RPGs because we haven't seen like if they really was gonna fall back, a lot of the Fire Emblem games would have got remade and re-released here in
People
America.
were expecting that. People were expecting
You know,
another Echoes game this week.
oh
Genealogy of
wow,
the Holy War has been
Holy
rumored
War.
forever, and people were talking about it. And I'm like, I don't know, because I think that's what the third game that didn't come out here,
Mm-hmm.
because Shadow Dragon is the first one. Shadows of Valencia is the second one, and I think this is the third one, right?
Probably.
In my, I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe I just made that up. But anyways, continue. Sorry, I was thinking about, you said Fire Emblem, so I got off on a tangent. I'm so
And
sorry.
you know, we know that Xenoblade is being, you know, they're probably working on it, and then Monolith Soft got a new, uh, a new IP. Um,
Give it to me.
we could we you know, Yokai Watch is a game that Nintendo could have grabbed and brought over. There was a Yokai Watch 4 that just never came here and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I think like Nintendo will still have original RPGs from Mario and probably from other series.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just only getting ready for their next system to put some of those out. If they want to follow remakes, they always can. But I think they're gonna have more original content for the RPGs. And Nintendo is not really so much a JRPG heavy uh publisher and developer in a sense. They leave most of
Mm-hmm.
that to Square Enix and Sega and Atlas, and then some of the indies and just other developers, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I think right now I think they'll still continue with original content for the future. I think they're going to fall back on remakes only if you know it probably gets to the end of the Switch life cycle if they and if they really need it because right now um like most of their GameCube RPGs, I'm like, there's not really that much left besides the Fire Emblem games. They already did Advance Wars once, the Advance Wars games.
Mm-hmm.
So where other RPGs that they got now? Maybe
Codename Steam
Pokemon.
remake.
Oh wow, that they got that. Probably Pokemon Conquest. You know, maybe they got some with some other developers and stuff that we just don't know, or probably we do know, but they just never came to America. So, but I still think we'll have original concept for RPGs from Nintendo.
Yeah. Side tangent, Ed. Um, when Metroid Prime 4 was announced, there were 2 series I just could not stop thinking about and wishing that maybe we could get a modern take on them,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're remakes, remasters, or whatever, or preferably a remaster or a remake at least. But Codename Steam, right, which Boss Rush has a lot of history with in general, the
Yes.
existence of it. And then the Conduit. Remember the Conduit for Wii,
For
the first person
Sega,
shooter?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm like, where's that remaster? Where's that series? I know Block did a really great uh, Trash or Treasure. He did one of his video series on the Conduit and the Conduit 2, and it's
yeah.
really good. I liked the first Conduit. I never played the second one, but I really liked the first one. Uh, maybe it just didn't age well. I don't know, but I would really like to see Nintendo and Sega maybe partner back up and be like, hey, we have a good relationship, right? How about that Conduit game? You want to remaster that for our console, and we'll give you a couple bucks. And Sega will be like, sure. Can we make a Yakuza reference in it this time? Sure, I don't care. Put them in one of them little gotcha balls. Nobody cares. Sure. Where's Yakuza on Switch, by the way? Dang.
They won't do it because of
You keep
the
saying that.
release.
You keep saying that, and you say things.
Not gonna come. And the sad thing about it is that the developer or creator of the Yakuza series, he's just like, we love the Nintendo Switch. You know, my associates play the Nintendo Switch, but because we feel like it wouldn't be right to put this adult game on this so-called
Which is
game system.
ridiculous because there's all kinds of games on Switch that are way worse than Yakuza, but
Hmm.
that's
But that is his logic. That is his reasoning,
well,
and we
he's
all
not at
respect
that
it.
studio anymore though. So, you know what? Maybe whatever his new game is, he doesn't have to put on Switch.
Sure.
In terms of RPGs though, I mean, it goes back to Nintendo kind of knows when to put out a remake or a remaster and knows when to put out a new one, right? Like
Right.
this is a new entry to the Mario and Luigi series, even though we're coming off the back of two remakes in Mario RPG and Paper Mario, right?
Hmm.
And so I don't I don't know if and obviously we've gotten a lot of new RPGs from Nintendo this gen anyway, like Xenoblade 2 and 3, uh Fire Emblem
Fire
is very,
Emblem,
even though it's not like a
Three Houses.
traditional turn-based
No, Three
RPG,
Houses.
it's the strategy RPGs, right? We got two new entries into that series.
Advance
I
Wars 1 to
know
3.
I
Um,
know people like to try to say that Zelda is an RPG, although I 1,000% disagree with that argument, but we're not going to
mm,
have that right now because I know you're one of those people.
Paper
And so,
Mario and
yeah,
the Origami King. Like,
Origami King. And then we got a lot of third party games like Final Fantasies and Dragon Quests, and I know like Dragon Quest 3 is a remake, but that's like an essential from the ground
you,
up remake,
everybody is
right?
everybody's going crazy over Octopath Traveler 2. They're now seeing
Right.
why we loved it.
Well, not just
Um,
Octopath, but like we got Monster Hunter Stories 2 for Switch,
yeah,
right? And we got,
Monster Hunter Rise and everything.
yeah.
Like,
So I think this is just it seems like there's a lot of remakes coming out, and rightfully so because it's the end of a generation and
mhm,
Nintendo's trying to fill those spots with games without, I don't want to say without putting any effort in, because clearly they're putting a lot of effort into games coming out soon, but they're trying to save their tentpole releases like the next Mario or the next Donkey Kong or the next, big
mhm,
tentpole game for their next console because it's clearly on the horizon.
yeah,
Um, and so remasters and remakes are easier ways to fill content holes, and we've seen some of that this year clearly, but we've also
the
seen a
P-
lot of new games.
the
So
the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters from Square.
mhm.
Like, look
Yeah,
how look how that did and everything.
and I think based off of how uh, Super Mario RPG did and the two Paper Mario games did, and probably how, if we're just talking about the Mario RPGs, right?
Hmm.
And depending on how Mario and Luigi goes, I think you're going to see more and more of these games come out. Nintendo also doesn't like to release more than one major game in a franchise per console either, right? Like, yes, you're going to have some sort of Mario product every year, and you're going to have some sort of Zelda product every year, and you're probably going to have some sort of Fire Emblem product every other year or every 2 or 3 years now, right? Because that franchise got
Yes.
popular. Uh, but we still only got one major Mario game and one major Zelda game this gen, right? So, I mean, we got a major 3D Mario and a major 2D Mario. We got a major 3D Zelda and a major 2D Zelda,
Mhm.
with Echoes of Wisdom coming out, right? But all the other games were ports or remasters or remakes for Zelda, right? There's only 2 new Zelda games on this system, technically, right? Tears of the Kingdom and Echoes of Wisdom. I know people are going to argue with me about Breath of the Wild. It's a Wii U game. It's a Wii U game, right? So, Link's Awakening, Game Boy game. Skyward Sword, Wii game.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of
Hyrule
Calamity.
Warriors is Hyrule Warriors is a Wii U game. Okay, I'll give you Age of Calamity, but it's not like a real Zelda game. That's a Warriors game. It's a Musou game. It's not a Zelda game. It has a Zelda skin on it, and it's a very compelling story and a great story and a lot of cool characters. But it's not a
We're going
traditional.
just and we're
It's
just
not
going
a.
by we're just going by Zelda games. It's part of
It's not
this.
a traditional. I'm saying it's not a traditional Zelda game. If you try to argue with me on that, I'm muting you for the rest of the episode. I that's and so yeah, like I said, to fill the void, you're gonna Nintendo's done a great job of diversifying their IP too, where like Mario can exist in 2D and 3D, so they can get away with putting 2 games out per generation, right? In
Mhm.
Zelda, top down versus traditional. Now they can do 3 technically, because you can have traditional 3D Zelda, open world 3D Zelda, and top down Zelda now. I don't know if they'll ever go back to traditional 3D, but I know people want that. I could go either way. Whatever the next one is, I know. I mean, the next one's very clearly going to be an open world game, like Tears of the Kingdom, but it better be somewhere different. Go listen to that expansion pass. That was a good conversation. Anyways, hope my long non-answer was good enough. Oh man, Ed, I'm just saying. The Our next question comes from Sam Hall via Patreon, the free tier of Patreon. Thank you for commenting on that thread, Sam. Appreciate you. Sam writes in and asks if the successor to the Nintendo Switch really is coming sometime next year, how do you think the Switch will be supported once it is out? Very curious to see how long of a life this has after the next system is out.
So I think when it comes out, I think it'll probably be 2 or 3 months. I think once
Two
Nintendo
or
put
three
out the
months.
yeah
Nintendo
reason
supported the 3DS
I
until middle of
hold
2019.
on, let me
God,
speak.
I'm
Calm
sorry.
down, let me speak.
I am calm.
2 or 3 months. I'm speaking it as Nintendo might still have some games for it in case, depending on how development goes and everything. I know that once they end it and stuff, they'll probably finish out whatever plan that they had before the successor comes out. So any games that they had mentioned in 2025 um might end up, I'm not saying getting delayed, but they might still run it out even after the successor has came out. Now that includes third party and also indie games. They may also have games for Nintendo Switch before while the successor is out also. So I think once, like within that 2 or 3 month uh time period, once all those plans and stuff are out, a lot of the focus will shift to the successor for it. So I think about 2 or 3 months after the successor come out, Switch will still be supported. Definitely once we start hearing about Switch not producing, I mean, Nintendo not producing that many Switch consoles, and it gets lesser and lesser. To people are finding them in stores, they will know that Nintendo has moved away from that support for that system.
Mhm. Um, I think the Switch will be supported long after the next console comes out, but I think that's because there's going to be a lot of games that are going to be expected to run on the Switch as well as its successor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially ports and remasters of, GameCube and Wii era games that we have extensively talked about. Um, I kind of compare it to the Game Boy Color era, where that first year of the Game Boy Color, well, really the first 2 years, the games on the black cartridges could be played on both consoles, right? The original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. It wasn't until the games started coming out in those green translucent cartridges that they couldn't play on the older consoles.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, I think there's going to be that period of time where most of the games that come out for whatever the next console is are also going to be on the Switch. Um, Pending the Switch 2 is backwards compatible, which we still don't have confirmation, but it would be really dumb if they didn't, especially the way they're pushing eShop stuff, um, and the way their subscription stuff works and everything else. Um, but I do think you're going to see support for the Switch beyond, you know, that first that whatever, because the 3DS was supported through 2019, right? And so not from not from major Nintendo games, right? But remakes
Mm-hmm.
or remasters or second party teams or third party teams, right? Like we got Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, we got you know Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, we got two Mario and Luigi remakes, we got Samus Returns on 3DS. Like between 2017 and 2019, there were a lot of games. We got a Persona Q2 dungeon crawler, we got another Professor Layton game out of there. I think there was another Ace Attorney game in that range too. Like there's a lot of stuff that came out on the 3DS after the Switch came out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, and I think you're going to see a lot of stuff like that. A lot of third party stuff, a lot of indie stuff, a lot of kid stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that that can make that console survive for kids long after the next console comes out. The Switch is going to be the hand me down console now, in a sense. So, will Nintendo proper support it? Maybe that first year they'll have games come out, right? Like new games, but like after that, I don't see Nintendo supporting it with the next Mario game or even, you know, I don't know. I would have guessed before this past week that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be a launch title for the next console, and it's clearly not.
You're right.
So I don't know. Like the next huge 3D Mario game and the next huge 3D Zelda game are not coming to the next console, right? So they're just not, or not coming to the Switch. Sorry, they will only be on the next console. But if you get something like, like Shovel, that's the Mina the Hollower and Shovel Knight 2, depending on how far along those games are in development, like those are potential games you could see on the Switch still, right? So,
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like hardware is getting to the point where, like, if you can optimize it for that hard piece of hardware, it's going to run on it. It doesn't matter how old it is. So, especially with the mobile technology and the Switch and the successor,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, that stuff seems pretty scalable from what I understand.
Yeah.
Which is why the Switch can handle a lot of larger games. Anyways, that's Ed. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for the questions, because we read one earlier. So that's it. We're gonna end it 3 hours later, plus the pre-show, plus
You're
the
right.
post-show.
Well, thanks for listening and or watching Nintendo Pop Block, which is part of the Boss Rush Network. If you enjoyed our discussions, please do subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast application. You can support us over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Any tier grants you early access to all of our podcasts. Follow us on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Network. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Power Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Goodbye. Stay tuned for the post show. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
Nintendo Power Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Power Block and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power Block Post Show. I am your host, Eddie V, and once again, I am with Corey Derrick himself, Bossman. Hello, good sir.
Hello. I'm man, I feel like we've been talking forever.
Because we have.
I know.
In a sense.
This episode's going to be so long. It's okay. Welcome to the post show, everybody.
Yes.
Where we're energized and happy, and it is not late at all.
We do got a quick topic for you guys. What are some video game series that have piqued your interest but you've never played or played very little of? So talking about games that, you know, be like, ooh, that's kind of interesting, but you just never invested in. Or if you be like, okay, I'll give that game a try. You tried it for about 10, 15 minutes and then put the controller down and be like, it just never returned. I could actually. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Corey.
go.
I could actually say like John Madden, like definitely sports games, like Madden. I was just never interested in. I mean, I played a little bit of it with my friend. Like we used to play on Super Nintendo. For my next door neighbor. But it was never something that I would go and get and stuff. So, but my interest in it was kind of when I would play with my friend. I'm like, maybe I'll, give this game a try. Another one was like Joe Montana. My brother had it, but when like he like left and stuff, I kind of just like, maybe I should play Joe Montana on my own, and just never did and stuff.
Yeah, my list is huge, right? So, and it's not like I haven't been interested in these games or haven't played these games, right? Because I've played some of these games. I've played. I mean, not a lot, but like I've played and I've tried to play, and then I got distracted by something else or whatever. But so most JRPGs, I'm just gonna throw that out there, that aren't called Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts, or I guess Xenosaga back in the day, or anything pre PS2 GameCube era. I would like to go back to and play at some point, like Xenogears, especially now more than ever. with Xenoblade being so popular, like, and knowing that 3 kind of connects, you know, unofficially but directly to Xeno Gears, right? And like that is fascinating to me. And I want to see how it all connects, and the fact that like Xenosaga, like uh Cosmos and Telos are both in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I mean, they're as, blades, but they're not, they're still in it, and so somehow they connect, right? So um but Xenoblade Chronicles is a game that is a series that I am infatuated with, and I've never sat down and finished any of them. So uh it's on my list, though. It's on the big list. um I want to play it so bad, and I just haven't made time for myself. uh I think Metroid is another series that I
Mm-hmm.
would love to play. It's just the Metroidvania stuff makes me feel stupid. The only one I've ever finished, is well, the only two I've ever finished, technically the same game, but the original Metroid and then Zero Mission. Those are the only two Metroid games I've ever finished. Uh,
Wow.
and so I got really far in Metroid Prime, but then I got distracted by Zelda, I think, and never went back. Uh, I've played most of the Prime games, but not finished them.
So
Uh,
I know for me, and shout out to Nick at Beyond WASD.
yeah,
I've I tried Half Life 2.
yeah.
Um
They said
and
games you're
like
interested in.
yeah, and I was and my friend was able to get Half Life 2 for Xbox, and he did let me borrow it and stuff. And I think I was interested in giving that game a try because I heard on how good and beloved this game was, on why PC players were so into it. And so I did give it a try, and I think because of the wonky physics, like, and it's not tight, I kind of just like, okay, and then I just put it down, just never went back to it.
Yeah, Half Life was. By the time I got to Half Life, it's the it's the Final Fantasy VII Ocarina of Time thing, where like
Mm-hmm.
in the moment that was the best, whatever first person storytelling style game, and it had a lot of like the gravity stuff in it, which I think was pretty revolutionary at the time. But like there were so many games by the time I got to it that did it better, like Halo, and you know Call of Duty had started to up their game and first person shooting, and I know Half-Life technically isn't a real like a considered a first person shooter, but it's a first person game. So Metroid Prime, to tie it back to Nintendo, was doing something, and then other games like even from Valve had come out since then, like Counter-Strike and Portal and Team Fortress, and the Half-Life episodes even were better positioned than Half-Life and Half-Life 2 at that point. So uh
Mm-hmm.
that was a series that Half-Life is a series that I feel like, from a historical perspective, if you're interested in the history of video games, you should maybe at least try it, just from a historical archival standpoint. But like I don't think it holds up if you've never played it, especially if you've played other first person shooters by now. you know
Yeah.
uh so even games on the N64 were doing not better jobs, but like telling stories, and GoldenEye and Perfect Dark exists, Turok exists, uh stuff like that on the N64 even. So uh I don't know. I appreciate Half-Life from a historical perspective. I don't know if I'm interested in going back to it ever, you know. But it's also
Yeah.
the same with like the old Dooms and like what people are coining boomer shooters at this point, right? Like
Right.
Dooms and Wolfenstein 3D and those games, and the Star Wars game that just came out, Dark Forces, right? Like all were doing incredible things in the 90s, but like, and if you have nostalgia for those, right, like they're still probably great games, but like going
Yeah.
back to those is really hard to do, especially if you don't have the nostalgia for them. Uh, which is sad because I've always wanted to go back to the original Doom games because I've never played them. I think I played Doom 2 once. Uh, and then I stopped playing because it was at a friend's house and they had Roller Coaster Tycoon on their computer too. And I was like, well,
Nice. I'm gonna play that.
I'm going to play that instead.
I know Cooking Mama was one for me. I tried it because
Mhm.
my niece just like, "Oh, I'm gonna play Cooking Mama." That's interesting. Like my mom got it for Christmas, and I was just like, I played. It's like, interesting, and I lost interest real quick. I'm like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, there are just series that even Nintendo series that I just have no relationship with,
Mm-hmm.
that I've been interested from afar because they're Nintendo franchises. And, I think Smash actually did a great job of teaching people about other IP that Nintendo does.
Yes,
Um, F-Zero is a Nintendo series that I don't care about at all. Um, or I care about, but I never played any of them. And I don't
mm-hmm.
know if going back to the stuff that's on NSO would benefit my want to play a new one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, I can tell you what one series though that I don't care about at all is Earthbound. And I know I play it up sometimes of like those games are incredibly overrated or whatever, but like even when I watch them like I'm being serious now, like I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like I don't get it. I just don't get it, and I don't understand the clamoring for the third one to come here. You know,
I think
I
because
don't
people want
understand it.
the full collection of them.
And I understand that. I just think of those times I was walking through Toys R Us and like walking past the clearance bin with like 400 copies of Earthbound in them to go get like, I don't know, Arrow the Acrobat or something, some other stupid game,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to go buy and play. And I didn't understand, and maybe it's because I didn't have a Super Nintendo either, right? Like, but when I think of Super Nintendo, especially back then, I was thinking Super Mario World, I was thinking Turtles in Time, I was thinking, Zelda, Donkey Kong. I was not, Earthbound was like the farthest thing from my mind. Even Final Fantasy was starting to, rear its head in my brain back then, even though I didn't know or care what Final Fantasy was at the
Yeah.
time. That name started cropping up. Street Fighter was huge. Like, you see stuff like Street Fighter and you look at something like Earthbound and it's like, I don't know, I'd rather be punching this guy in the face instead of like walking through this green square, um, which is supposed to represent someone's yard, I guess. I just, there are a lot of, I mean, and even Metroid was a series that I wasn't that interested in for a long time. I never played the original Metroid until the GBA, ironically, because that's where Zero Mission also came out at. But remember, the
Yeah.
GBA had that line of NES games that came out for it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
um, and that was so cool, man. Uh, and I'm not talking about like the Mario Advance kind of 16-bit remakes. I'm talking about like the NES versions of those games. I had Donkey Kong, Metroid, and Super Mario Brothers were the three that I had. And I know there were more, but can't own everything when you're 12, 13, 14, 15. So, uh, but yeah, Metroid, I didn't become interested in Metroid until the original, and I played through the original, and then I played Zero Mission, and kind of I didn't know it was a remake of the first one until
Mm-hmm.
like partway through playing it. I'm like, I've played this game before, and then I was like, oh, this is just the first one. Then of course you read the back of the box and you're like, oh, it clearly says this is a remake of the first game with extra stuff. But
Yes.
and even then, like after Zero Mission, I tried to find a way to play Super Metroid, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm playing, at this point, I'm playing GameCube games. I don't want to go back to Super Nintendo, and then Metroid Prime came out, and Metroid Prime was the Nintendo equivalent of Halo at that point to me.
Yeah.
And I would much rather be playing those games than going back to Super Nintendo games at that point. Now, 20 years ago versus now, I am much more appreciative of games from back then, right? Like I have grown to, just like anything, right? You grow to appreciate the history and the evolution, and you want to see where these things started at, and you want to see where these things come from. And, uh, I need to make it my duty to go back and finish a lot of these experiences that I missed, right? Especially
Yes.
especially iconic series and historically important series, and just games that are good, right? Like A Link to the Past is like the biggest sore spot in my gaming history, and I love Zelda,
Yeah.
right? And that was like, this is a topic we're going to save for another post show, probably next week's post show, but what are some of your favorite game series that there are games that you haven't played or finished? And like, I I love Zelda. We talk about Zelda on the show more than anybody probably cares about. A Link to the Past, really, really, the original game and A Link to the Past are two standout games that I've never played, like finished at all. I've tried to play the first Zelda game, and I just need I don't know. I need I just need to sit down and finish the first game at least, and A Link to the Past, because I feel like I'm not a true fan if I don't at least finish A Link to the
Now
Past.
we did do our playthrough together of Link to the Past.
I didn't play it though. You did. I watched.
Okay.
I watched it. Like, and yes, okay. I have seen a complete run of A Link to the Past. I've never finished it. And so I would like to do that. And, to that point, like I put off playing A Link Between Worlds because I want to play A Link to the Past first. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Triforce Heroes allegedly falls into that world too. I think, is that what David said, or somebody said that recently on one of our shows? Maybe it wasn't David.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in David's mouth. I feel like somebody said that on a recent something we did. I don't know. We recorded so many Nintendo shows this week. I just don't remember what anybody said at this point.
Well, I know for me, I tried Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the one they went to Manhattan.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, the Manhattan Project.
the Manhattan Project. I never got to play it for Nintendo, so I was very interested in playing it.
You
I
played
didn't
on the
even make it.
Cowabunga collection.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even make it through the first level, and now my
It's hard.
turtles got killed. And I was just like, "Oh, you guys are doing the Double Dragon thing, the Double
Mm-hmm.
Dragon 3 thing, okay?" And got out of it and never went back.
Yeah, Manhattan Project's really hard. It's like, because it does it does the lost levels thing where it just expects you to continue playing the original arcade game, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is like, Turtles 2 on the NES. Like, they just expect you to have that muscle memory, and that you actually finished that game and didn't die halfway through or whatever. But those Turtles NES games are difficult,
Yes.
and the Game Boy game are difficult too. I went back and tried to play those in the Cowabunga collection. Good luck. Good luck. That third one though is supposedly really good. It's like a Metroidvania. Supposedly, it's
Mm,
supposedly really good. But
yeah, I never got to finish the first one. But Turtles in Time, Harvestone Heist,
all those are the best ones.
um, and TMN2, the arcade game, I have beaten.
Mm-hmm.
I beat Tournament Fighters on Super Nintendo, but I did not beat it on Sega Genesis. And the bad thing about it is that um I bought the Sega Genesis version for $20
Mm,
from KB Toy Store and
mm.
just could not beat it. And I was just like, well, that's no
And
interest
KB
in
Toys.
me. Uh, yeah, there's no need for me to keep playing it. I'm like, the special moves don't work. It's a little bit slow. Um, Part of the cast I didn't know. I understand like the common art style, but it's just yeah, there was just problems with that game. So I was just like, I was interested because that was the first time that I had a game on two different systems at the not at the same time, but I had two different. I mean, the same game on two different systems.
Hmm.
You know, I got to choose from Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo for that game.
Yeah. So I just yeah, there's a lot of series out there. And at this point, like you just have to like there are so many good series and so many good games out there that like
Mm-hmm.
at this point you're just gonna have to accept that you're just not gonna get to some of them in your lifetime, you know? Uh
I will say the opposite of this for this question was Portal 2 for me. I did
mm,
not want to play Portal 2 at all. I didn't see no significance. I was just like, it's a puzzle game. Like I was harsh on it. And it took a while. I'm just like, okay, I'll give it and I give this game a try on PS3. And I was just like, oh, now I realize why it's game of the year and
mhm.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's yeah. Yeah.
So well, everybody, that's gonna do it for our post show um for Power Block. Tune in
We did it.
next week. Yes, we did.
We did it.
Tune in next week. We will have another post show episode for you with a new topic. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.